Hopefully it should work this time. I connected my account and everything, so please actually work. Oh! Yay,
Nope.
okay. It's working.
Go back, baby.
Finally. Okay. God damn it. YouTube makes it so annoying. Cool. Okay. Yay, it's public. Finally. Okay. All sorted.
Okay, let's go.
God. YouTube. Why? Why is YouTube like just the worst? To be fair, Twitch is also the worst, but in a completely different way.
Mm.
See.
Okay,
Now let's shoot that over to people. No. And then we can just start drawing.
Yes. Anyway, let me know when you want to do an intro.
Sure.
Very cool.
I mean, just like it doesn't even matter if like not a lot of people are watching. Like I'm just like happy. I'm just happy to have time where it's like, all right, sit down and draw my own stuff for once. Don't have to like worry too much about shit. And just like, well, it's a dedicated time for myself doing my own work, and not stuff for other people.
Mm. All right, Jamie says microphone is now working. Hello.
Yay! Hey, Jimmy. Is it working?
We are not receiving any audio.
Yes, we are not receiving audio. Check if the devices are correct.
Give me a second. All right, no worries.
Yeah. No worries. It's no rush. We're not professionals.
This is just chill vibes.
Yep. And we're a bunch of idiots. That's also fine.
Okay, is this getting anything?
Yes.
Yes.
There we
Wonderful.
go.
Okay.
We have
I
it working.
apologize. I had to get everything set up.
That's no worries. So, hello everybody.
Hey guys.
We are here now officially.
Hello.
We are officially online. Mostly.
Officially online.
Officially online. Our brains are functioning at exactly 50% capacity, so that is about as good as we get. Yep. So you guys want to go around and do introductions?
Yeah, I can go first. Hi, my name's Sophie Elliott. I am part of Sophie Elliott Illustration, my own freelance business. And I currently have my commissions open if you want to go and check me out on Twitter or my website at sophieelliott.com. That would be super cool of you. Thank you very much.
And I am Jamie Eastfeld. I am a web developer, and most of the time I actually prefer to do creative things. So I do illustration, I do coordination for artists for Narrative Declaration, our weekly Twitch show that we do. You should check it out, twitch.tv/narrative declaration. And I also do comics and a lot of other things.
Awesome. Hopefully if you're on my channel, hopefully you know who I am, so I'm not going to bother too much with that. But I draw Warhammer, and we are here to hang out and draw and just chat. So thanks for being on, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I actually do like way more comics than I thought I would. When I was like, I never...
That's because they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure. No, they are. But back when I was in art school, I didn't expect to be doing comics, even though my major was comics.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Your major was comics, but you're like, nah, I'm not gonna do them.
Yeah. No, because my major was sequential art, right? So it was like comics, storyboarding, and concept art, right? So, but most of it was like focused on being comics. So mostly like, storytelling, that sort of stuff. And I was like the one person when we had like our intro classes. The professors were like, okay, so let us know, like when you introduce yourself, also tell everybody what you want to do. I'm like, and I went up there. I was like, well, I'm in sequential art, but I don't actually want to do comics. I'm here because I want to do the concept art part, and then everybody else was like, okay, I mean, sure, I guess, but it was the right choice for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very good at it.
Well,
Yes.
sure. I'm yeah, not well, it's not just that though. I feel like because I went to SCAD, right? And SCAD doesn't have like a dedicated concept art major or anything. So it's the concept art people are sort of like split between like mostly like illustration and like sequential art. And I do have to say, like, it's at least back then I didn't feel like illustration was the right major for concept art, at least because like they don't tend to work a lot in groups or teams. They didn't and also like I to be fair, my case is also special because I was off in the Hong Kong campus, which was like a smaller campus and not the main US campuses. So like we were sort of like a little bit our own thing. So our professors were all had worked in games industry before, and like illustration was very much geared towards like just like illustration, you know.
Yeah, to be fair, I can kind of confirm that. Like even in UK universities, the one I went to was very. They pushed more for like freelance businesses rather than like concept art.
Exactly.
Like, concept art is kind of like its own thing with its own practices.
Exactly. It's a very much like a different mindset between the different majors and how they teach. So what I think you can get from it varies a lot, honestly. It's really not quite the same thing, and a lot of people don't necessarily get that.
Yeah, like definitely a different mindset, different grind set, all of the above, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you guys been up to?
Well, me personally, I've just been doing a few individual commissions, waiting for one of my main clients to get back to me.
Right.
And what else have I been doing? Oh, I've also been doing some lovely work for Jamie here for Narrative Declaration.
Oh.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I
Oh
finished
yeah.
up another group design. So one thing that Jamie has told me personally is that I'm very good at designing like groups. So
They all have a very good unified aesthetic, and that is always great for world building because then you have, oh hey, they look like this. Clearly they're part of that group. Done. No more
Art
work about
direction.
building it.
Very-
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Do you guys have a unified sort of like art direction for the narrative declaration?
Our formalized art director is Skelebine, or Laura Pendle, laurapendelart.com. She is fantastic. And then in the background, I'm usually, for the whole crew, kind of taking a look at what kind of art we're getting ordered, what kind of art we need. My partner is Thurston Hillman. He is our GM and the overall master of the lore, so to speak, and he does a lot of the writing for our actual art orders. So I usually help make the connection between, oh, we should get this artist to do this one because they're really good at this particular kind of art. So in that way, I do a little bit of the art direction, but end call finally goes down to Skelebine.
Yeah. That always
Yeah, so definitely, like-
art direction is always a challenge to just get everybody on the same page.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been meaning to redo our visual design guide for basically since we launched, because we have a lot more actual art that has been created for the show and for everything that we've released that we can actually make a little bit more of a unified guideline now.
Yeah, like I remember when you had all of like the creative direction PDFs ready to go, like for some of the groups, like just as like an idea, and then like when you'd hire people on, then it would be like, oh, we have this idea, but we want to see this happen. And I think that was the case when I designed the Tyrants Guild and the Children of the Blaze groups.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like quite a good. It was quite good, like interacting and being part of that process as well. Like very fun, not very stressful, which is quite nice.
I'll be honest, I haven't really caught up on Art Grind yet, just because I keep telling myself like I have to like finish all the old like the Warhammer RPG stuff first before I even get to anything else. and it's just like there's a lot of content and I keep getting distracted and like watching other stuff.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear that we have a lot of content. Oh, mind you, at this point, I guess, yeah, there is. Even the old Warhammer show, there's 90 hours of content, I guess.
Exactly. So. That's why it's been very
okay.
hard for me to get through everything. And I'm like, I have to like at least finish Warhammer before I get to like the new stuff, right? And then every once in a while, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to try and crunch through it. And then like I get like 10 20 episodes and I'm like, ah, okay, and then like I get distracted by a new show coming out, and it you know how it is, the content grind never stops.
Absolutely. We have never been so blessed with so much good content.
The abundance of content. Yes,
absolutely.
You know, I feel like Rock Grind kind of followed the same almost the same like creative direction as Hunter the Parenting. So, you know, separate groups, but like similar people working on it. Like, they kind of took the opportunity from Warhammer being very strict about fan animations and things and shutting that stuff down, to being like, oh, actually, we have this opportunity to make something like that's ours almost, or like make something that's more like our own thing rather than just relying on an existing IP. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with Warhams as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge component of just the initial planning for it. The idea that we do play with Pathfinder 2nd Edition for both Rock Grind and Raccoons. We don't play in the world of Galarian. We actually play in our own world, which is called Tyne. And that was a really important thing for us starting off, because we wanted to make sure that we could make stuff that would actually make it worth it for people who are subbing to the Patreon, and they would get cool additional content that was all ours. We wouldn't have to worry about falling under any specific licensing agreement other than the OGL. Which, that was a fun thing earlier this year, dealing with the OGL.
Oh god. Yep.
But we're sitting there and we're waiting for the ORC. We're waiting for the ORC, and we'll see when that comes out, if we can switch over to it as soon as possible.
By the way, hi Subgoat, hi Dank, welcome to the stream. Glad you guys are watching. And thanks for pointing out that it's not a pilot stream and I should change the description, and I have done so. But yes, doesn't Thurston do stuff for Paizo?
Yes, Thurston is the managing creative director for Starfinder. Previously, he was the developer for the cool online content that they used to do, and then prior to that he worked on Pathfinder Society, Starfinder Society. Like, he's been there for quite a while. At this point, I wish I had my full list of here's all the jobs Thurston has done. And prior to that, he was a pretty prominent freelancer as well. So we do have some pretty strong connections to the company, but we are still independent and we're still doing our own thing as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Do they, I mean, does Paizo care at all about, like, him doing his own stuff, or?
They are very aware that he does it, and they hopefully they take more lessons from the successes that we've had over the last little while. But they are quite aware, and they are actually pretty happy about it, I'd say. Like, I can't speak of too much stuff from behind the scenes, of course.
Oh, sure.
And I would love to invite Thurston in to chat with us, but he is currently dealing with a kidney stone, which is why we had to cancel yesterday. So he is currently napping. So if there's screams in the background, I swear I don't have anybody locked up in the basement.
Yet. I mean, there's always still room for that in the future. Nothing wrong with that.
New business opportunity.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is like really good. Honestly, and I will say, working on Rock Grind has been just really refreshing compared to like other clients that I have had so far. Like, I would say that I think it's just mostly just the want and like the desire to make something really nice and cool, like at all times.
Yes, the cool factor, very important.
Because like so many people get very like micromanagey when they want to feel like they want to have more control.
And like, you have to rein in some things. Like, we have had some stuff that's come through where it's just, okay, yeah, this is a little bit too far out, or wow, this is completely different from the other stuff that we're looking for. But for the most part, I think that it's also been really nice to have people come in and just bring their own skills to the show. One thing that you've done in a couple of the ones that we've recently done, you've incorporated historical elements, and that has been so nice because that's something that always just warms my heart to see people incorporate actual real world elements to what they're doing.
Yep. Honestly, being able to incorporate real world elements of history and things has been one of my most favorite things about working on Rock Grind, because like it's set in this like kind of fantasy world where it's kind of pre-industrial, but there's also like a lot of like different historical bits and pieces going on at the same time.
Yes.
And actually for the Children of the Blaze, because they kind of had a bit more like rusticness about them, like a bit more like sort of like crafting, like sort of like on their own, like not really like maybe trading too much and very insular. Like that was the vibe I got from the brief. They yeah, I gave them like more Anglo-Saxon style clothing, but you know, sort of tweaked it a bit so it wasn't completely bland and there was a bit more of like a group thing going on. Yeah, it was just it just felt really nice to just go into museums, because I live in Winchester, so being able to just go into those museums and like actually seeing actual examples of like Anglo-Saxon clothing, Anglo-Saxon jewelry, Anglo-Saxon ways of life, culture, like how they operated, and then just incorporating that into the final designs. It's just very
So
like very
good.
yeah.
So good.
Like
And
I said, I'm not super familiar with Rod Grind apart from like the stuff that I've seen coming from the community. If you guys had to sell it to me, like, what's the easiest way to sort of like get to grips with what the vibe is?
okay, Jamie, here you go.
Okay, I really need to work on the elevator pitch for it. Basically, it is a grimdark fantasy world that is on the cusp of a technological revolution, and our tagline is "A world in decay." So the biggest driving force behind the setting is the idea that there is this thing called the rot, and the rot has settled in, and the world is in a slow decline, and it is collapsing as a result of this rot taking over everything and encompassing the entirety of the world. So we've got this dark world in which everything is getting a little bit worse every day, and
Oh, that
then we still
sounds
get to play
nice.
with- Oh yeah, absolutely. And grimdark is something that was very important for us to incorporate because we were coming from inspirations like the 40K universe and Dark Souls and Bloodborne and
Yep, I
oh
can
lordy,
see that.
I could find our list of inspirations that we all put together at the very, very beginning, and it is just there's so many different things in there.
But like, so one of the main drivers for this campaign, the Rock Grind campaign specifically, is that there is some kind of hope to beat the rot, right?
They're not necessarily going to beat the rot, and this is something that Thurston has had to drive home with the players several times. No, you are not solving the biggest challenge of the entire setting, because you you can't have 6 people completely change everything in the world. That's a little bit off and slightly unrealistic,
And also not
but
very grimdarky.
well, yeah, exactly. Now, there are points of hope, and that's something where I have to keep on reining Thurston back every once in a while, because he's very much into the grimdark, the sad story, the sad ending, whereas I view it as if it's always sad, if there's absolutely no hope whatsoever, then what's the point in hanging around? Like, you're never going to actually have any sort of victory. It's the Pandora's box concept of if you let go hope, you don't have anything left. So I make sure that there's still some nice little things here and there. But for the most part, no, it's a pretty crappy place to live. But it's also really neat because of that, because we can do so many awful things to torture the people who are participating in the world.
Yeah, and I think one of the main drivers that I'm seeing as not only like one of the artists on board, but as one of the audience members as well, who doesn't know as much as you, but one of the things that I'm thinking of and what I see is, they want to just beat their own illnesses. They want to beat their own infections. I'm not getting the sense that they're gonna just beat it for sure, for real, entirely. They're just following all of these leads that maybe many before have tried as well, and it's just sort of like the drive to survive more than anything.
They are definitely being driven by that right now. Something very important about the rot is that there is no cure. There is no real understanding of where the rot comes from, what causes it, what causes a person to become infected with the rot. So the moment that somebody finds out that they do have the rot, it is essentially a death sentence. It is something where you are very concerned and you want to figure out how to solve this, or at least slow your own personal decay.
How long does a rot typically take to kill someone?
It completely varies. There is no rhyme or reason to how bad it is. However, we have other interesting mechanic called sponsorship, and sponsorship means that you are literally a chosen of the gods. So one of the gods within the setting has picked you and has said, you're special, I'm going to keep you around, and I'm going to make sure you can't die. But every time you do die, you come back more rotten. So you keep on, you are
okay, I see the Dark Souls.
This decay.
Yes, I see
exactly.
the Dark Souls, I see it.
And eventually you will succumb to the rot. So I believe it's after you die 4 times, first one's free, I think is how we have it work. And after that point,
die once, get one free.
Yeah, exactly. Your first round, then you come back, you get sponsored by your god, but then you have to basically still be scared about dying. And that was not only introduced for a storytelling mechanic, but also for a gameplay mechanic of, well, we don't want to have viewers watching and say, oh no, this character died, I guess I have to get attached to a whole new character. You can watch these characters die, and it's not the end of the world. It's not their end yet. They can still keep dying, but as they get closer to that final death, it starts getting a lot more scary. We have one player who she's trying so hard, but she has the worst rolls in the universe, and she is the one that is closest to being completely rotten, and she keeps on going down, and she really needs to stop.
Please watch yourself.
Oh yes, exactly. They've actually now told her as a character, you need to stay in the back lines. You do not get to be a frontline character. Because the other fun thing about the rot is that once you go down for the last time, the rot consumes you and the rot takes you over. So essentially, if you go down for that last time, you become a second boss battle.
Oh, very
so
cool.
The players, whatever took you down, they're all of a sudden having to deal with you too.
You know what? I'm a big fan of that setup. That's pretty cool.
Like, it is really fun. Like, I've enjoyed watching the whole thing all the way through so far, and I'm looking forward to more episodes in the future.
Oh, I am so sad that we had to call yesterday because of Thurston's kidney stone, because we've got such an amazing plot that we've already put together. We're at episode, oh lord, how long has it been? 27 is our last episode, I think. And we're going to be going into episode after we're about no, I can't actually say how many episodes we have left of this season, but we also operate in the concept of seasons. So season 1 was taking place in our core city, the primary place where we based the beginning of the series off of, the city of Outset. And the second season is, well, they did some really bad stuff in Outset and they needed to flee. So now they're in the swamps that are around Outset. And then once they're done with that, our intent is, and slight spoilers, our intent is that they're going to head back into the city and have to deal with the repercussions of what they did when they were there. And oh, it's going to be so good. I am so looking forward to season 3.
So good. Like, honestly, Ryu, you gotta get it.
I will. I mean, if I get into it, do you guys want art?
Okay. Full disclosure, I have been begging Zoran, our full lead, to hire you since the show has started. Like, before the show started, I was begging him to hire you, but unfortunately, because we are a smaller show still, we don't necessarily have a lot of budget for art.
Understandable, yes.
Oh my gosh, I want to get you to do some stuff for us, especially concept art, because you do it so well in terms of environmental art and just scenery in general. And I so desperately want to see more of that coming out, because that's where we really see a lot more of the world building taking place.
Yeah, man, it's always so tough when you're running a project to get environment artists online. There's
You
just
understand
not.
why?
No, I can tell you exactly why, and it's because
Please do.
and because nobody wants to draw environments. Everybody loves to draw their own characters. That's like there's a billion OCs floating around DeviantArt for this exact reason. Everybody loves drawing their own characters, but nobody ever wants to be like, "Hey, let's take the time to learn perspective. Let's take the time to learn lighting. Let's take the time to learn how to properly create depth. Let's take the time to understand atmospherics and all that stuff, and then." Draw draw an environment. That's why like every time it's weird for me when I look at people learning art online, right? Because they always talk about environments as backgrounds, when environment like that sort of implies that the environment is only a backdrop to the actual thing that they want to talk about, which is the characters, and everybody loves the characters. But nobody ever wants to like put the time into making backgrounds, because like that's so much, the entry bar is much higher, and you don't get as much immediate personal gratification, because oh, it's not my OC, it's not my character. So it's just like it's harder to do, and the immediate gratification for at least most people is not there. Yeah, I do it
And that is
because
absolutely.
I do it because I'm a
sorry.
professional, and like this is my day job, and I know how to do it because I've done it over like the last 7-8 years, been learning how to do all that very specifically. And most people who do art online just don't have the luxury of having done it for like long enough where it's just like, oh, I know how to do it. And if they're usually good enough, that they're probably already working in the industry.
Yeah. And then they charge a lot of money, which they deserve to, because they
Yep.
earned a lot of skills while they were doing that.
Yes, very much so. But yes, it's very tough. I've run into into like the exact same issue when I've been recruiting for the tabletop project I'm working on. I was actually just sending Sophie some of the shots of that in our in the group chat we made. I was sending some of the creatures we've been working on. Yeah, I've been art directing that project, and it was tough looking for people who could like take on the environment art and the full illustrations that we need, because I simply do not have the time to be going in and doing all of the art myself.
Yes. Oh, and absolutely making sure that you have people who can also take care of the same thing that you are capable of doing is whether it determines whether or not your project succeeds. Because
Very
you
much so.
cannot do everything. There is too much to do. And I say this as somebody who does do a lot of the full disclosure, I do a lot of the work that I do for free for the show because my partner is working on it. So I
Makes sense.
kind of in a roundabout way get paid, but it's just also just there's so much that has to get done that isn't necessarily something that you would always budget for, and you got to make sure that there's some sort of a backup for when that person can't do it, like say for example when they're taking care of their partner who has a kidney stone.
Is he okay? How bad is it? Like it's not. It's all sorted, right? No, nothing to worry about.
It is moving through. It is 3 millimeters wide, and it is unfortunately taking a lot longer to get out of there than we wish that it would. He's trying his best. I have had kidney stones before as well, and it is just, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. It is absolutely terrible, but he's fighting through it, and right now he's having a little nap, and that's helping. When he's asleep, he's not in pain.
Okay, good. Well, as long as he's on the mend.
Oh yeah, and he's so wanting to get back to things, like the frustration at not being able to go and do both his job and do stuff for the show has just been apparent in every single time he wakes up. It's I really want to go and do X, and he can't right now.
I mean, if there's
Which-
anything I know about Thurston is that he loves what he does. So
Absolutely he does.
I can absolutely imagine how that would feel for him.
He is so passionate about all of this stuff, and it's so sad to see him like this, and I'm hoping he gets better soon.
It's a matter of time. He'll be on the
Yeah.
like. I mean, he's on the mend already. It's just like waiting for him to get better.
Exactly.
Our best wishes, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, like, I actually kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like, not Thurston's kidney stones, but the idea that...
You sure you don't want to
Yeah,
talk more about kidney stones?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good on kidney stone talk at the moment. But it's more like when you're very committed to doing something and then you're kind of sidetracked by, you know, life, sickness, and like how that works out, especially when you're freelance, because then it just kind of
Oh
feels
Lord.
worse for a reason, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes, I know how that feels. Yeah, my like when I was freelancing, it's tough finding time to do your own stuff just because like all your time's like, oh, client work, and then like, oh, I have to like practice, and you end up like having like no time to do anything you actually like necessarily want to do for yourself.
Yeah, and then you just like burn out, and then you just don't feel like doing anything for a few days, but you can't afford those few days. 'Cause
No,
need to
you
work.
absolutely can't. Something that I have always preached is the idea of making sure that you take care of your physical health, which when you're a freelancer, that can be extraordinarily difficult because your only income is the work that you're doing. And if you have to stop, you're in trouble. But if you don't stop, your body will break down. And when I go and talk at our local college, when I'm talking at conventions and things, I emphasize that people need to take breaks and take good care of their bodies because they only get one and it can break at any time.
Well, until we get into like proper cyberpunk dystopia, then you can like swap it out for a cyborg body anytime. But until that happens, we have to like work with what we've got.
I want my Major Kusanagi body. I desperately do.
Oh, whenever like when I can, I'm gonna swap my arms out for like rocket launchers as soon as possible.
Yeah, but then how are
Rocket
you gonna
launchers?
One, don't worry. I'm gonna have it be able to swap.
just interchange?
Yeah, just interchange between like a drawing pen and a rocket launcher, then I'm good.
Okay, so how do you approach scratching your nose if your hands are rocket launchers?
Well, that's what you use the pen for.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Very
Good planning.
unhygienic then.
Well, of course, I'm sure you have to like make just like have like additional settings because like I still have to cook.
Ah,
oh, yeah.
yes, the spatula hand. Very important.
Yep.
Oh, it's like that. It's like John
Chopsticks
Cena.
hand more like I just need chopsticks.
I think they've done a chopstick hand on like a prosthetic at some point.
Have they? That would be perfect.
I'd have to Google it, but it'd be fun.
I would
You
buy.
can always get the grippy claw. The grippy claw is fun.
Might be a bit limiting, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the grippy claw is, like I said, just be able to swap out the attachments, and we're good. I think.
Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, like burnout is such a serious issue, especially with like freelancers, because I mean I'm only like 25 now, and I think a lot of it came from just having very bad habits. Very bad habits when I was in like university and high school, like just working,
Mm-hmm.
and then like not stopping because if I stop, then I'm wasting time, and that's kind of
Yep.
what it felt like.
I'm pretty sure I burnt out at the age of 21 and haven't really recovered since, but you figure out how to adapt.
I personally don't think I've really burnt out. I don't think. I'm very lucky in that regard, to be fair. But it's just. But I am still sort of like almost stuck in that freelancer mode where it's like, whenever I have my off time, like when I go home after a day at office, it feels weird to not be working.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
It feels weird to not be working.
Yep. And I know it's okay. Like I just spent my entire day at an office doing doing meetings and drawing and all that. And I get home, I'm like, well, I'm at home, and it's like, why am I not drawing? I feels like my standard mode should be like I should be drawing in my off time, but I'm not, and it feels super strange, even though I technically know it should be okay.
You know what also feels super strange? Tendinitis. Rest your muscles.
Oh God, yeah. For me, actually, for me, it's not too bad. I have had like my muscles feel weird every once in a while, but like I have had friends who just like outright have like carpal tunnel or something, right? And
Yes.
that definitely sucks. But I feel like I've struck a little bit gold because I started getting into like 3D relatively early. So I just like whenever like my arm feels weird, I just jump into like start doing like 3D work. And it's like using a different set of muscles than drawing, and that usually actually sort of helps.
Yeah, I personally go to the gym a fair amount, and I do weightlifting, and I'm trying to incorporate
Yes.
some more mobility exercises into my arms and my wrists. So I'm just sort of counteracting it by just exercising and making sure I have a healthy diet so it doesn't seize up.
I feel
That is extremely important.
I feel bad. I haven't been really doing. I should start going to the gym again, but then like ever since I came to UK and I stopped, and then like it's been hard like starting it up again.
You have moved to a different country.
No, but it's been
straight up.
months now. It's like I feel like I should start again. It's just like I at this point I'm just like making excuses for myself. I really need to like just start actually doing it again. It's just
Yeah.
like, but it's like mentally, it's like once you've stopped, it's hard to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
I
for
used to
sure.
go to the gym 5 days a week, every single week, nonstop. I did that for years upon years, and then I had some pretty serious health issues, and I've stopped. And it is so hard to get back into the habit again. It's 15 times harder to get back into the habit because you remember it, and then you remember, oh, it was so easy back then. Yeah, because you were doing it already for years on end.
Yep. And also it helped out that I was in Hong Kong and like the gym was literally like what like 1 or 2 minutes down the road, and I was like, ah man, that was so nice. I have to like actually walk a bit now.
Yeah. Nah, nothing is as close as it was in Hong Kong. That's another
Definitely
thing about
not.
England.
And I don't have a car and I don't want to drive. It's a huge pain.
It's not that far away. Oh my god. You're literally like next to London. You're
I know.
fine.
I know. Theoretically, yeah, it's
Proper
not a
whinging.
problem. It shouldn't and it isn't a problem.
Oh, your sense of space is so different from mine. I'm right in the middle of Canada, so going anywhere takes a lot. And also, it's minus 30 outside when you're trying to go out somewhere. So I just love hearing people saying, "Oh, it's so difficult to get around because
It's
I don't
not
have a car."
It's
if I
not
didn't have a car,
difficult.
I could not go anywhere. Unfortunately, our city is not designed this way.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not difficult. It's more about like the
I guess it's like the relative mental load.
yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just getting through the door is the hardest thing to do. Once you can get there, that's most your problem.
Yep.
Yes.
I love this guy that you're working on. He is so good.
I'm
He
not.
just looks so world weary.
Well, he's an Imperial Guard, so
Yeah.
it is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
appropriate. Yeah, I'm not quite happy with that eye. I'm trying to think about.
It's quite contrasted compared to the other one.
Yeah, yeah, it always takes because like actually I grew up not drawing people, so like I always have to like tweak my figures and portraits a good amount until I'm like, okay, that looks good enough, or I just end up going like, yeah, I'm gonna photobash it.
Oh yeah, and that is absolutely a fallback that you can do for concept art that you can't really do for fine art illustration.
You
been
you
doing-
can do it for illustration. Fine arts is a different thing. In fine arts, you just say, "Hey, it's but what is art?" And then
Oh
people,
yes,
and then
yes.
people are just like,
The-
"Well, yeah, you're right," and then they can't really tell
Put
you.
that
enough about
banana
it.
to
Why-
that
why not
wall.
as vibes?
Absolutely.
Yep, just as long as you can bullshit your way out of it, you can do it. Fine arts,
Exactly.
Fine arts is fun that way.
It was good.
Yeah, we used to get fine arts. So like in Hong Kong, there was that big art fair. I don't know if you've gone, Sophie, but like Art Basel.
I think I've heard of that one, like ages ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty big, and like we used to get like free tickets for that from our school, And then when
cute.
and then when we went, we were just like, God damn it, these freaking fine artists drawing like absolute bullshit. And like, here is like a series of dots, and I'm selling it for $40,000. I'm like, God fucking damn it. Why do we want to work for corporations? Like
because they pay way better than everyone else. That's the downside.
Well, not just that. Also because like there's like a 0.01% chance of getting picked up, of being even semi-successful as a fine artist.
Do you have rich family? Well, then, good luck.
True.
If you do not, too bad.
There's actually a reputation of like nepotism in English fine arts.
I mean, I think that's everywhere. It's probably not just English. The fine arts market is very closed.
Very closed off, very nepotism, very trust fund baby type.
And even if you can sneak in there, you still do have to have something that is supporting you while you are breaking in, and that is basically you're already connected enough if you've got enough money to sit there and not make money for years until you finally do.
But to be fair,
awesome.
To be fair, that part is often true for like the entertainment industry as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's like to get in as like a concept artist, like that's like a real tough order because you're going up against a bunch of people who also want to work in the games industry. If you ask like people what they want to work in the game industry, it's either like the ideas guy or like I want to be an artist, and then like
the idea guy, my bane of my existence, the idea guy.
I just love the idea guy. I love the idea guy. So
yep. See, that was where I started because I was like, I want to make games. I'm like, well, I don't have any marketable skills. I was like 15, so it was like, it's fine. I didn't have any marketable skills back then, but it was like, well, what do I do then? I was like, because my childhood dream was to be like a writer, right? So I was like, I want to do, maybe I should do writing for games. And I looked into like being what actually be a commercial writer looks like. I'm like, oh, fuck that. No, that sucks. Yeah. So I was like, nope, I'm gonna do art instead. So that's how I got here. I was like, I had ideas. Now I actually have to like contribute something useful and not just be like, I'm here because I think because everybody can think. That is not actually a useful skill because everybody can do that. So like, well, better start doing art so I can actually do shit I want.
There is a value to a good idea guy, though. There is absolutely value to somebody who actually understands what an idea guy really needs to do, which is connect the big picture to all the tiny moving parts.
Yes, but that's a designer. That's not I have ideas. That's like, I'm going in and I'm doing design and I'm like, or maybe like you're designing a philosophy. You're maybe like a project lead or something. That's like completely, yeah, that's completely different from like, I just have ideas and I'm like, hey, you want to make my thing? That's like a very different proposition.
Yeah, yes. I think also like so many people hear about an ideas guy and then they have a very inflated sense of self-worth and think they can actually be the idea guy when they don't really have the confidence or the intelligence to really pull it off,
or just experience of knowing, because like every lead designer or idea guy in like the actual games or like tabletop or whatever, like any of those people have been in the industry for like years and decades, and they know how it works, and that's why they're the ideas guy. Because they can't do the work, but they have the experience where people would rather have them lead than necessarily do the grunt design work. Like you can't. Nobody goes in and hires like somebody and just like, hey, you lead the project, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you've earned the right to be there, and that takes a long ass time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, no pedigree. You're not. If you have no pedigree, you're not getting in.
Of course, there are exceptions to that for people who have done just personal projects that have taken off like gangbusters, but those are so few and far between. And also, a lot of that is just...
Those are personal projects. Like, you get to make your own thing. That's like, if you really do want to commit to being like an ideas guy, then you do your own project.
Yeah. Oh, but then I'd have to learn to program, and I don't want to do that. I just want to make video games. Oh, Lord, I've dealt with so many of those guys. Or, hey, do you want to draw my comic for me? I've already written it. no, I want to draw my comics. Thank you.
I've talked to a couple of
Anybody
those
can
people
write
too.
a comic, I don't mean to diminish the efforts of writers. Writers are absolutely very important, but I am spending literally 10 times the amount of time on a comic drawing it as I am writing it. I
Honestly,
am not going to do
yes.
that because somebody thinks that their idea is the best in the world.
As somebody who both writes and draws comics, yes. Like writing is so much easier than drawing. Like you can, like, even as a writer, right, even if you take the time to like think out like all like, oh, this is where the composition should be, this is like all the visual ticks that you might want to like go for, oh, maybe like you even thought up like how this is how the panels should work. No, like that's still like that never fully applies. That's still, you still need, most of that interpretation is still a ton of work. That's nothing compared to like the actual creation process of the art.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And there's a certain level of trust that has to take place there too. If you're working collaboratively with a writer, that they will trust you to understand what their writing is and then interpret that on the page. Part
for
of
sure.
comic storytelling and sequential storytelling in general is layout, and actually is ensuring that your panel layouts are conveying the story effectively, that it's pacing it effectively. And that kind of relationship is really hard to build. So when you have a convention table and somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, you want to draw my comic for $50?" No. I've not earned this right.
Has that happened before?
Oh god, yes, all the time.
Oh, that
Like,
sounds
you will
fun.
You will have so many idea guys walking around and saying, "Oh, this is my great idea, it's the best ever." Sometimes they have something written down, or sometimes they're "Oh, well, I've got it all in my head, I just need to get it out on paper, but I want to see the drawings first."
Ah,
Thank you for the retching.
that sounds so much fun.
So much fun. I
Yeah.
do
Like-
still miss cons though. I'm actually going to be in the Prairie Comics Festival here in Winnipeg in I believe September is when it is, and I'm looking forward to getting back to cons again.
Oh,
'Cause
that's fun.
as much as I have a challenge with those kinds of guys, then you've got people like kids who are coming up to you and saying, "How do I make comics?" Or you've got people where they're just so excited to see whatever new thing you've come out with, and that's where the actual rewarding part of a convention is just that connection with people in your community who genuinely care about comics as much as you do.
I am looking into starting to attend conventions because like Hong Kong doesn't really have a lot of like relevant conventions. I don't feel like, for at least for like what I do, because we had a bunch of like anime conventions right, like anime stuff, but not really like tabletop and gaming per se. So I never felt like there was a much of a point for me to attend them. But like now that I'm in the good old merry England, it feels like it's a good time to start like attending stuff properly, because like London is just a
Absolutely.
big hub for artists and everything. Actually, Sophie and I are planning on attending the Comic-Con together.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
so
gonna be
excited.
we're gonna be attending the Friday because we're gonna be more industry focused, I reckon, and Ryu's gonna go representing his the company he's with. Splash
Well,
That's
I
amazing.
don't, no, not officially, but I have an industry
Not
pass.
officially, but you had to have an industry pass that meant you didn't have to pay for it. So
Well, yeah, but it's just like literally anybody working in entertainment can get one, right? So it wasn't that hard to get one.
Okay, when you're at a convention though, the difference between dealing with somebody who's behind a table versus in front of the table is completely different, and people approach you completely differently as a result. If you're willing to go there and have some sort of a pass that says, "I am relevant, I am here because not just because I am a fan, but because I have a professional reason to be here," everybody talks to you differently. It's absolutely fascinating just how quickly the dialogue changes.
Oh, well,
psychology
yeah.
of it all.
I mean, I can imagine. Like, it makes sense even just from like, oh, you make stuff. What do you make? Can you tell me about it? Like, point of view. And then obviously there's the people who are like, oh, I want to get into the entertainment industry. Maybe this person can help. Like, I can. There's definitely like an entirely different dynamic there for sure. My main personal question is, just because I haven't really gone to like any of the cons, is like, okay, how do I, what is like, what would be like the most unobtrusive and like natural way to just like meet other people who are there to like meet other people in the industry. You know, it's like
okay, this is gonna sound really bad, but the pub events afterward are the best networking places that you can go to. Thurston established his career at bars after conventions, basically. So, or in the evenings during conventions, where you're going and you're actually talking to them like people, and you're wanting to connect to them just as people and not just as a professional thing. Because
yes, I know
no one
that.
wants to work with somebody who's just using you.
Yep.
Yeah.
But those ones are still a great and a wonderful anecdote that Thurston has told me many times is that the reason why he likes meeting and networking with people at conventions is because if he's going to a convention and that person wants to go next year, they will not mess up their freelance deadlines because they will have to face him, and they do not want to face him after messing up a deadline and ruining an entire product release.
Yep. That makes a lot of
So-
sense. Yep.
There's this responsibility that you get to your community just by knowing these people and knowing that you're going to be interfacing with them in person. That makes a big difference.
For
And
sure.
it is a shame because not everybody likes to travel, not everybody likes to network in person, but
I do.
then that's perfect. Like if you want to meet real people and talk to them as genuine people, then conventions are the place to go for you. Absolutely.
I went to I went to like a BAFTA's session thing where they had like panels from a bunch of like the different BAFTA winners. They had the BAFTA games winners, not the movies, the video games. And then they had like, the voice actor for like Kratos was there. They had like a bunch of people from like the various winners. It was super nice because I just got to like talk to like I talked to one of the art directors from Obsidian. Do you know Pentiment?
I do not know.
Okay, Pentiment is super cool because it's basically, like Obsidian, right? The games
Yes.
studio.
They
Yeah,
did
absolutely.
Fallout New Vegas, didn't they?
Yes, that's them. So they did a full RPG based on like the early modern European sort of like I want to say like Holy Roman Empire, maybe like 1600 sort of like era, sort of like it's set in that era, and then the entire game is an art style of just like early etchings, like the early print, like illuminated script, and then going into like sort of like the Albrecht Dürer sort of style like prints and stuff. So it's like very stylized.
Like woodcut,
Oh,
Jamie,
this is
like woodcut
delightful.
style.
Huh?
Yeah, like woodcut style.
Yes, woodcut style. Like, so it transitions over the course of the game from like sort of like illuminated manuscript into like woodcut style. It's like it's a very artistically interesting game, and the art director was there, and then like spoke with her for a while about like the sort of like the differences between like art direction and like concept art, and like sort of like helping like newer people in the industry and that kind of stuff. And it's just like that was super nice, just like getting to meet people and not like just talking to them as like other people that are doing similar things to you. That's awesome. I love doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I am dropping the link to the game in the YouTube chat just to.
It does very much help that like I'm not looking for a job. I'm happy where I am. So I'm just like I don't need to be like, hey, by the way, how do I get a job? It's like
Yeah, and after a certain point, if you've had enough jobs, you will have somebody who you can say, oh yeah, I worked with this person who also works with you, and you're in. Like
Actually,
the moment that you've established yourself.
very funny story
Yeah.
for sort of related to that. I actually ran into like our animation director at this event because he was actually married to one of the people doing the panels, like one of the
nice.
CEO of the companies. Like she was like a lead designer, and then like at like what's the Heavy Rain studio, the Quantic Dreams.
Oh, Quantic
And-
Dreams, yeah.
Yeah, like so like she's been around the industry a bit, and she was like doing a panel. She's like the CEO of one of the games being nominated, and then like she came out, and then like our animation director came around the corner. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? And I was like, he was like, wait, what are you doing here? And like, and then his kids came around the corner, and I was like, what's your family doing here? It turns out like he was there to see his wife. And I was like, oh my god, you're here, and oh, that's so cool. It's so good for you guys. And yeah, it was like just absolutely wild for me. I was super confused for like entire 15 seconds. I was like, am I in a fever dream? What?
Everyone's married to each other?
Yeah. What?
Well,
Yeah.
once you can actually make money in the industry, then you tend to gravitate toward other people who like what you like.
Yes, very much so. It's just like the real problem about like working in the gaming industry. It's like it's so hard for people to get started.
Started and then continuing on with it when they're actually starting to establish themselves with things like families. A friend of mine, he works
That too. Yeah.
at a number of different places. Like, I'm trying to think of all the different studios that he's worked at. Shoot, I'm completely blanking on that. My apologies. But basically, the idea of settling down, starting a family, that's a cutoff point for a lot of people in the industry, because you're putting in late nights, you're putting in long hours, you're doing crunch, you're doing all of those things, and you can't necessarily do that when you've got a kid.
Oh,
So
for sure.
you're
I can
stuck.
imagine. And you gotta have like some a partner who absolutely understands like
Oh Lord, yes.
what's going on and why you have to like put all that time in, and like why you think it's worth like putting all that time in as well. It's like I can imagine being just like hugely difficult.
I think I've kind of seen that happen with like animators who just end up kind of dating each other because they both kind of know the amount of time that is needed to, you know, participate in animation, like the animation industry and just animation in general.
Yeah.
So a lot of them just end up dating each other.
Which can get messy, of course.
Oh
but,
yes. Oh yes.
like, that's anywhere. That's any industry. There's going to start being crossover like that.
Yep. But also like totally understandable, I guess. It's just like it's a tough when you work in entertainment. It's just like there's like a ton of shit to like think about. That
Yeah. I really, my relationship with Thurston is really healthy, because as much as he and I have a lot of overlap in regards to our interests and the things that we do still have enough of a separation that we have A, something new to talk to each other about, and B, just we're not completely reliant on being at work all the time, and we're also not completely reliant on, we will only get to connect based off of the fun stuff. We
Right.
we like having good, proper careers and supporting each other through our careers.
That's awesome. Honestly, I would love to like I would love to properly meet Thurston sometime. Cause like I'm like our group's DM. Like I DM for like my group of friends in from art school, and like he does it so well though. Like so it's just like I'm like, damn, that guy can DM.
He will absolutely chat with you at any time. If you're going to Gen Con, I think he's going to be at Gen Con this year. He's talked about it maybe. No promises to anybody who's currently listening if they're planning on going to Gen Con, but like absolutely. And he loves talking to people.
Gen
too. That's the
Con
other
might
thing.
be hard for me because that's all the way in the US.
Yeah, and the North America versus the rest of the world at this point is just such a hard bridge to gap, or the like gap to bridge. Sorry.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yep, that one. But no, for me, it's not necessarily like that problem. It's just like, you know, work for a studio. I've got limited. I've blown like half of my days this year on going back for Chinese New Year, and then like it costs money, and like I don't know anybody in Indiana. I don't know anybody like it's in Indianapolis, right?
Chicago, I think.
Chicago.
No, Gen Con Indy is Indianapolis, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anybody there. It's like
thinking of Illinois.
yeah, it's like a bit of a tougher. It's just like not as like I might go to like. I was thinking of going maybe to like Lightbox Expo in California, which is like mostly like art focused. So like maybe that, but like you know that's I know people in California, so I'm like okay, I can just hit them up. I can stay with them. It's relatively easy. Yeah, going somewhere where I don't really have any contacts and I already like spend a bunch of my sick leave, all that stuff. It's just like it's not super worth it for me. I don't think.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a bunch of stuff right here in London.
He would totally chat with you just as a voice chat too, so that does not discount anything.
Oh,
I love the internet. You can have friends from everywhere.
Hell
It's
yeah.
great.
Looks like we got our next guest when he's better.
When he's better. Yeah.
When he's better.
Alright.
Chat about DMing and like just like all that crazy bullshit when players decide to do something that you have no idea what the hell to react to. I started running like my first campaign and then like 3 sessions in, my players were wrestling with like giant tentacle creatures over like dead bodies. I was like, God damn it! How do we get here?
Yep.
How
3
did I
sessions
never-
in. That's how you get there, because you're 3 sessions in and all rules are out the window. All bets are off.
Yep, absolutely insane. But yeah, I really do love what you guys are doing with Right Grind from like a project point of view. Like I said, I can't say too much about like the content, even though like I've heard only good things. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't want to like start going around saying like stuff I can't back up yet. But just like from what you guys are doing with building like out the entire setting, like getting a bunch of art, building community for it, honestly I love that. Like that is hopefully where I want to be for myself eventually, because like my thing is I just love doing world building. Like that's why I have like so many personal projects that I have to like just like juggle, because like I have like I simply do not have enough time to pursue like all of these projects, because I have so many ideas for like different settings and stuff. And I would love to have like one day just have like the audience and time to be like, okay, I can create content and people will just enjoy my thing. That would be super cool. I would love to do that.
Yes. It is so rewarding. Like, our community is the single best thing about us. We have the best fans in the world, and I'm not saying that just to inflate any egos. I legitimately, like, our community is why I do this. It is the absolute best to just have all these people who are so excited to see the stuff we're coming out with, and see, oh man, these are such cool ideas, and then get excited about it and draw fan art of it. And it's that's the spark. That's the getting people there and getting them excited about it. It's impossible to force that. It's something that has to happen organically. And our whole crowd came over from Warhams and from a lot of 40K fans, and they followed through to this. And it still blows my mind every once in a while when I hear about people who have never heard of Warhams, or have never heard, because they came over to follow us through to this new idea, and now this new idea is bringing in more people, and it's so rewarding. It's so good, and I love it so much.
I 100% believe you, because like I interact with like the community. I mean, not like as much as you guys might do, but like I'm around and I see what everybody's up to, and like everybody just it's such a healthy and nice community. I'm just like, man, like I should be more active, and like it makes me want to get involved more. So that's just like that's like the best sign of having like a nice community, when people see it and are interested in joining.
You can always post more, you can always post less. That's something that I also like emphasizing to people, is that they don't have to be there all the time. Just the fact that they love it, the fact that they're talking about it every once in a while, the fact that they're popping into the Discord even like once a week type thing, that's fine. You don't have to be there all the time, but your love is so appreciated, because we have such good people. Like seriously, there's some people in our community that have just made such a difference in how I've been approaching the whole project too. Just knowing that they're there and knowing what they love. We've got this one community member, and okay, is it pronounced Denswart, Sophie, or is it pronounced Dankwart?
I've always pronounced it dank, but
I always think that it's dank, but he originally, like way back in the Warhams days, he did fan art of the Dark Eldar that they captured to interrogate, and I remember seeing his illustration and pointing at that with Thurston and saying, this is somebody you want to have in your community, because this is somebody who cared this much and I don't know how else to phrase it, a shitpost character. And he did this incredible artwork about it.
He was in chat a little bit ago. I don't know if he's still around, but he was watching a little bit ago.
Yes, and he's still around, and he does art for it. Like, we did a release yesterday for our April Fool's release, which was Crawdadamus, and it had a piece of art that he had done in there, that he had just done as fan art. And I said, can I please use this? And he said, okay, I'm excited to know why. So he got to be in the April Fool's release, but it's just like, and then seeing more people come through, and we've got these amazing fan artists, and then seeing other communities built around art form up as a result of the community, like the Tea Society, and it's so heartwarming to see all of these positive connections that people have made as a result of elevating voices and sharing things and being positive about it. And I love it so much.
I love that for you. That's such a good feeling and exactly where you want to be.
Yeah. I wish I could say this is exactly how you do it, but I have no idea. We just have amazing people when they showed up.
You just strike gold sometimes. Like you can't plan for a community has like so many game companies have tried to do. You just can't make it. You have to like just let it grow and hope for the best, really.
Yeah. Like there's nudges that you can make in the right directions, like rewarding people who are doing stuff for you and making sure that they feel like they are part of the community and making sure that they feel like they're represented in what you're doing. Our complication system that we have, where people who are members of our Patreon can submit complications where, oh, hey, you rolled a natural 1. You now have to deal with the consequences, and we're going to go on a table of all of these people who have said how you're going to fail, and then you get to hear it on stream, and that's just like, that's such a nice little reward of, I just made it so that this person got struck by lightning. Yay! Or,
hooray!
This person reaches across the room and slaps somebody in the face because they failed a social check that badly. And just, like, those are fun ideas. They're things that the community has come up with, and then they get to see it on screen. And that just, I love it. I love these things.
That is so fun.
We have so many ways to engage.
Yeah. That would be, that stuff is all great, and I am taking notes for myself.
Like, one of the things that I've been trying to get us to, but we aren't quite there yet, is I want to reward our fan artists more for what they do, because our fan artists just blow me away, where people will spend 15 hours on a painting and then they'll just give it to us for free. Oh my gosh, like that still blows my mind.
There should be a platform for rewarding that behavior for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to do things like, even if we just had, say, a once a month raffle, or if we had like a featured fan art of the month or something like that we could do to reward the artists for what they do. But that's down the line. That's community and management stuff, and that's just like more that we have to do, because there's so many things to do. There's so much work in putting together what we do.
I can imagine. I do think a feature at the very least should be relatively easy to put together.
I make sure that I put our new fan art in every single new episode. Whatever's come out during the past week or 2 weeks, it will be in the next episode. So at least it goes on the rotator. It goes into our VODs. It goes in, like, we'll then, hopefully we're going to be posting at least a few more pieces of fan art. We've been starting to use fan art for thumbnails for our episodes as they go up. So there are other opportunities for us to represent and share this art. So there's still some chances to do it. It's just, I'd like to have more of a tangible thing that we do.
I do love the little fan art carousel we have.
Yeah, I pop in like I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't watched Warhammer, but once every while I just like pop in to look at a fan art. It's like, hey, these people love it, and I can see the passion they have for it. It's just like that. It's just so nice to see.
And fuzzies, such warm and fuzzies.
Did you get any fan art for your comic strips at some point?
I don't think so. Not that particularly. I haven't looked for it, to be fair, but.
Not even Big Brothers. I would have thought that would have been like.
I have no idea. I'll be honest. I have not looked into it.
There might be some fan art for you out there.
Maybe.
Get a friend to look for you, just in case.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Like, I've been on the internet. I'm not scared. I am hardened.
He knows what goes on here.
Yeah, I know what. I've seen worse. I'm sure it's fine. But no, I haven't particularly looked into it. I don't know. I have a decent social media following, but I've seen people do like the voice acting dubs of my comics, but that's as far as I've seen, I think.
But that's so cool too. Like, oh my gosh, that is so neat.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff. Yeah, there's been like a couple people who went ahead and like dubbed all of the Big Brothers comics and a good amount of like my other ones. That is nice. Yeah. Also, hi Lucerne. Yes, the Guardsman is very done. That feels like the default state of Guardsman, though. I'll have to say.
Just
He
done.
was so pretty, and then you went and you scarred them all up. That's
It's
so
a
bad.
Guardsman.
I know. He got those in the first 15 minutes of being on the field, yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, once you see like, once you stand there and shit is exploding all around you, like just getting scars is good enough. That's yeah.
He's
Not
still trying.
yeah. He's still trying. He hasn't given up yet, which is good. Let's see.
I love Guardsmen so much. They're just so fun.
There's some of the best factions out there. Giving him a little tattoo.
Yeah.
Little
Excellent.
tattoo. Harding him up.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hey,
Very nice.
look at that. Warping it. Let's go.
Actually, I know somebody from high school who went ahead to be a tattoo artist, and I'm like, they must actually be making so much money. Tattoo artists actually get so much money. They work for like a few months a year, and then like the rest of the time they just like chilling.
They do, but like at the same time, the risk,
Pressure.
pressure, the
Yeah.
risk. Can't deal with it. Can't do it.
I mean, and I wouldn't get to do like the cool shit that I like. I mean, tattoos are cool, but I would prefer.
You'd have to do like 20 infinity tattoos.
Yeah.
You'd have to do like, the lion and clock combination tattoos on like at least 5 guys who like refuse to shave because apparently it's feminine.
Well, it depends.
No.
Like, if you get known for your style, I don't think that's necessarily true.
Oh, you'd be surprised. There are some feral people because you have to remember you're facing the public when you're a tattoo artist,
Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
and when you do retail, doesn't matter if you're a tattoo artist or if you're just working in retail, you will get moronic behavior, to put it politely.
Wow, I can't believe that moronic behavior from the public. I've never heard of such
No
a thing.
way.
No way.
I'm still absolutely tilted by what happened at work before I came on the stream here. Like, oh, Jamie, you're not gonna believe this.
Oh no. Do
No.
tell, do tell.
Spill
So,
the
I
tea,
had a-
Soph.
I had a guy come in, right? And I think he might have been like a bit slower than usual. That kind of vibe. So, I was being a bit more patient with him, but it was like 15 minutes before we closed, and he was just kind of staring at the Switch section for 5 minutes. And then he comes over to me, and I'm like, "Hi, how can I help?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want to get a Switch, but does it play FIFA?" Actually, no, he asked me where the Switches were, even though he was looking at them for like a few minutes, and I was like, "Alright, I'll show you where the Switches are." Pointed at the Switches, said, "Okay, if you have any other questions, let me know." Go back. He comes up to me after a few minutes of just looking at Switches. He sort of points to like the Switch Lite, which is like the single player one, right?
Right.
And he's like, does this play FIFA? And I'm like, yeah, it plays FIFA. And then he spent like a few more minutes. Keep in mind, he's running down the clock. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, is he gonna stay behind?
I gotta
like,
close, sir.
I gotta close, sir. I got food at home. I got a stream to do, sir. Please.
I have a life to live, please.
I live autonomously outside this room, sir.
What?
But yeah, so he spent the whole time just asking me like, does this work on Switch? Does this work on Switch? He settles for FIFA. He then asks to look at the back of the FIFA 23 for Switch box, even
What?
though there's no discernible information to get from there. Absolutely none. But I humour him. I'm like, he's a customer, whatever. And then, I have everything ready to go. He's like looking at his bank card.
Did he change his mind?
No.
He changed his mind.
Oh my god.
I was seething as he was walking away. And you wanna know the worst thing? After 2 minutes, he changed his mind and he came back. I put everything away.
What?
Like
why? Oh my god.
How do you value another human being's time that little? Like, wow.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional. So to say, like,
listen, this is why I say moronic behavior, because so much of how people behave in a retail situation is mostly down to just stupidity.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not
Like,
doing
it's
it on
not
purpose.
Really it's not really maliciousness. Like, no one goes in unless they're like certifiably horrendous people. But those types of people are super rare. Most of the time, you're just frustrated by how dumb people are, and that's just it, you know. And it's not like you can call them out on it because they're just being stupid and they probably won't understand why you're angry.
Yeah, they weren't trying to be assholes. They were just like, they were too dumb to think about, like, what their actions might be doing in terms of, like, other people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say this though, I had a fun moment today. I convinced like a 5-year-old that she needs a license to ride a bike. She's
What? Oh, that's the most British thing I've heard for a while.
No. Like, so we're right next to a bike shop,
Okay.
and this young girl was like, "Oh, can I have a bike, mummy, daddy? Can I have a bike? Can I have a bike? Oh." Like, she's being very like, "I want a bike, please, like that kind of thing." And we were at the counter, and she was looking at me, and she was like talking about the bike, and I was like, "Oh, don't you know you need a license to ride a bike?" And then she's like, "No, my mum and dad let me ride a bike." "Oh, but you got your parents' permission. If you don't have their permission, you need a license."
Excellent.
And the parents were looking at me and being like, "Thank you." She's not gonna be quiet, thanks. And I was like, yeah. Because you know what? I'm enjoying my position of being someone with a lanyard, so it gives me a little bit of authority over tiny children. Great.
Oh my god. So did the child actually stop talking?
Yeah, no, she was like pondering what a license meant, I guess. So
Oh my gosh.
She's British. She'll get it. It's fine.
It was very funny.
You got a bike riding license for that.
Go bike license. Oh, you giving him some little maroon lips, some little diffusion shading. Let's
Yes.
go.
Yay.
I should probably scale this up afterwards to actually paint this properly, but
Do you have any funny client stories, Jamie? Because I know you've worked in marketing for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, like, I am incredibly fortunate in that I never had to work formal retail. I did end up having a few customer-facing and public-facing jobs, but I've never actually worked in a retail environment. But one of my favorite stories is going back to when I worked for a photographer. I was his retoucher, so I would go through all of the photos that he would take, and I would do retouching. This is way back in the day. But there was this one kid who came in to get his grad photos, and he was so nervous. Oh, sorry.
Oh boy, grad
Oh,
photos.
yes. Yeah, so he was so nervous about looking great for his grad photos that he tried to trim his eyebrows.
oh no.
Accidentally shaved off one of his eyebrows.
Oh no.
So he comes in, he gets the photo, and of course the dude's missing an eyebrow. Then his mom comes in, and she demands that, like, can you fix this? And I think, okay, yeah, no, I can do this. And then I do it by, of course, using the other eyebrow and mirroring it, and doing the best that I can to recreate his eyebrow. But that's not how it looks when it's actually there. No, I don't know how it looks, lady. Like, the photograph does not contain the old eyebrow information. The best that I can do is approximating it based on the other side. But she was just she had me redo it 3 times.
Like, did she not even provide like a previous picture? Like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
where's
No,
the
it was-
reference?
Yeah, there was no reference. It was just, can he have his eyebrow back, please? Lady, your kid's the one who shaved it off. I can only do what I can do.
maybe this is a sign that she needed to take more photos of her kids.
Maybe.
That was at the very cusp of digital photography, so most people at that point did not necessarily have mobile phones with decent cameras. So she probably just didn't have a lot of stuff to pull out and use as a reference. But at the same time, lady, I'm doing the best I can here. You got an eyebrow. It is eyebrow. It's just the other eyebrow flipped and the lighting adjusted.
Yeah.
Crazy. Man.
I'm also lucky enough to not have worked retail. But did I tell you about that one, the worst client I've had?
I have not heard
No.
the story.
Okay.
I must hear this.
Okay.
Please.
So I had a client. I won't. I'm not gonna like go into like too much specifics here, like because well, I guess that wouldn't necessarily be great, but also it wouldn't be super relevant just because like their project is like still incredibly obscure. But so it was like a mobile game while I was in Hong Kong, and basically they just like reached out to me on LinkedIn. They're like, "Oh, do you want to like do stuff for us?" I was like, "I don't know why you're not using my email, but okay, sure. If you want to commission me, I'll do the work for you." So the project essentially was very weird. I couldn't get them to define exactly what the project was for like ages. As far as I can tell, it's some kind of like collectibles, like it's like Pokemon Go but without a game. Like it was like
Okay.
and I was like, that sounds like you want to do NFTs, but they didn't say anything about NFTs. And then as far as I can tell, they're not doing NFTs. I was like, what's up? Right? It's like it's a game, but it's not a game, but only collectibles. And so it was just like incredibly confusing what the vision of the project even was.
They probably didn't know. Continue.
Yeah, yes. No, they
Sounds like
absolutely did not know because so they were like, "Oh, I asked them, "Do you have an art director?" They're like, "No," which is obviously the first red flag. And they were like, "Oh, you can do pretty much anything you like." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's not too bad. All right."
That sounds fake. That sounds fake.
Yeah.
Sounds fake. That
Yep.
sounds extremely sus.
Yes.
Like a client who do whatever you want, babes. Do whatever.
Yeah, like, oh, we don't have an art director. We don't have an art director. So like, I was like, okay, well, they probably don't really know yet. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. I'm pretty experienced. I can help you guys figure out your art direction, and we can go from there, right? It should be okay. So I sent them like a bunch of different style sketches, like, and then they picked one, and then we're like, okay, let's go with this. And then they send me the briefs for the different characters they want me to design. And then I look at the characters. I was like, what the fuck is this? The characters have all the descriptions of the characters are basically okay. So it's like a list. It's like a bunch of like cartoony animals and whatnot, right? So I look at it. The first description is like, oh, a monkey is cheeky and mischievous. And then that's it. That is all the information they gave me for that character.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh boy.
And then the next characters, same as the monkey. What? Like most.
Same as the
Wait,
monkey.
Yes. All of them are
as
like
the
same as the
monkey.
monkey. Same as the monkey. Same as what the?
Same as
I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do with this? All of them are cheeky and mischievous. Like, how? What am I supposed to decide
Are they
with?
all a little sus? Are they all a little sus? Is that what they're trying to say? Huh?
I genuinely have no idea what the hell they were even trying to go for, because like they were just like, yeah, it's all vaguely the same thing, and I was like, but they have to be different. It's like what do you want me to design here? I'm so confused. So and then like I was obviously trying not to like question them too much, because at this point it's like, well, let's just get done with this project, get paid, and move on, so I don't have to like put this in my brain space anymore. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'll do like a bunch of sketches in the style that they picked out and try to get it over with. So so I did a bunch of sketches. I picked it. And then they picked the sketch they want. Because like also I gotta point out like when they were trying to get me on board onto the project, they were telling me how it's like meant to be like historical inspiration and shit, and then like I was like okay cool, so I get to do some like interesting stuff, right? And then
Monkey historical.
and then they didn't let me do that. They're like, oh, it has to look like modern clothes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You told me it was supposed to have like, you wanted to like promote like the culture shit and historical whatnot. And they're like, oh yeah, we're not doing that now. Like, what? You didn't tell me. It was super weird.
Wow.
They didn't know what they wanted at all.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm amazed you got paid. Like, legitimately amazed that you got paid by
Me too. I'll be honest. That was actually the best part because they paid me like super fast. They paid me like a day after I asked them for after I handed in the stuff. So I was like, what? But that is nowhere near the worst part yet. By the way, this has only just gotten started. Yeah. So wait, where had I gotten to? Yeah. So they picked out like I sent them like a bunch of sketches for the monkey. They picked out like some like fake ass Indiana Jones like ripoff thing. I was like, well, I mean, all right, sure, whatever you want. Here's the thing, and then I finished it in like a couple days and sent it over, and they're like, hey, we don't like the style. Could you change the style? I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck do you mean? We spent like a week. I sent you sketches. You went back to your CEO and decided on the style, and I was like, okay, that's the style, and then I did it, and then you don't like it now, and then they're like, oh, the style's not cute enough. I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean cute enough?
It's when they sign it off and then they change their mind at the last minute is when it's the worst thing.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They
Did your mother
showed it
not
to
hug
their-
you as a child? Is that why you're getting attention now? Is this what you're doing?
Showed it to their wife. Wife didn't like it. Do it all over. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I think my personal impression was that they probably kept sending a CEO, and the CEO just kept changing his mind because, like,
I know this.
because two of the characters that I was supposed to design was based off the CEO's kids.
Oh my god.
So like the CEO kept asking, make them cuter, make them cooler, not young enough, too young. And we're like, God, it was like just like absolutely inane feedback that had no actual description of what they wanted me to change. It was just like vaguely make it cuter, not energetic enough, not purple enough. What does that mean? Yeah, no, it's like yeah, there was literally like for a cow character, it's like, oh, it's not purple. I was like, I know it's not purple. This is the grayscale sketch. It's like, I don't know. Yes, they wanted a purple cow, by the way.
Very cool.
Oh
very
my
normal.
gosh.
Very normal. Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was, yeah, that like, so I quoted them expecting like the first character, like, it'll take me like 3 days to go through the sketch process, do a rendering and send it back in. Like, seems like a fair enough. Guess how long it actually took?
Oh no, dare I?
15 billion years.
Well, good guess. It felt like
Didn't
that.
feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like it. No, it took like a month and a half.
What?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say 6 weeks. So yeah.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Just about that.
Yep. They kept coming back to me and be like, "Hey, change this tiny little thing," and then like I would send it back. I'm like, "Fuck. All right, fine. I'll change it in like 1 minute. Send it back," and I would have to wait like 2 days for a response.
Did you have like a clause in your contract saying like any changes
For
must
major
actually after
changes,
this
yes,
point?
but these were not major changes. That was the thing. It took me like
It's just there
it
were
took-
50 of them.
Yeah, it was just like
my
50
gosh.
tiny little ass changes. It took me like 1 minute. I was like, it was more draining on my brain space than like anything else. It was like, like I was like, why are you? What is the point? Like this is like oh, tweak the nose like a little bit higher. Like yeah, okay, like and then like tweak it back down. Like fuck. Okay, it took me like 30 seconds to do it, but like, why is
they looked at the contract and they're like, all right, if we keep asking you for like really big edits, like the boss.
I learned.
We're gonna be out of money. But
I learned my lesson.
If we ask him to change little things at a time, then maybe he won't charge us.
And I was too nice to charge them because like they got, I think they got like a recommendation from somebody else I knew, and like that person had, well, because that person had gotten me like a couple gigs before, and they were fine. So I was like, oh, I feel like I shouldn't be such an asshole and they just charge for like tiny little edits, and they are like tiny little edits, so it doesn't take me any time except for like my brain being incredibly pissed off at like all this stupidity. Yeah, so it was just like, God. There's like other highlights was there was like for the little boy character based off like the CEO's kid. It was like, we want him to be astronaut outfit, but can we make it sporty? It was like a sporty astronaut, but you want it based in real life. I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm incredibly confused. So like what I ended up doing was just like, it's just basically an astronaut suit. I just gave him like sports shoes, and they were okay with that. It's like incredibly unhelpful.
Oh God.
Yeah, and the best part was after I finished those characters, they were like, hey, by the way, do you want to come and be our art director? I was like, fuck no. Like, no, never. And then they were like, hey, you want to do like a design of like a marker for us? And I actually was foolish enough to say yes, because I was like, okay, it's like it's just like an obelisk, right? It's like literally it's a pillar with a logo on it. It's literally like that brain dead shit that would take me 10 minutes to do. And I did do it in like 10-20 minutes, and they wanted like a 3D model of it, so it was like literally I just made a box, extruded it, and slapped like the logo they wanted on it. I was like, here's the thing. And then they're like, oh, cool, thanks, great. We need like feedback from the CEO. Guess how long the CEO took to reply?
Oh no.
2 months. 2 months.
I was gonna, yeah.
I was like, it, and then they even asked for changes. It was literally just that, and they sat there for like 2 months. And it was like, oh, cool, yeah, it's good. They're like, what? Why?
Oh my God.
Who? What? What kind of production is this?
Yeah, not a good one.
But they paid me immediately afterwards. I was just like, but like, why did it even take so long?
Okay, wanna hear my theory?
What?
Money laundering.
Okay, but they were going for like an actual legitimate like like sort of like a development company that, as far as I could tell, was legit. They had done like projects before.
Listen, the really good money laundering schemes always look legit.
Okay, maybe.
That's true.
That's a good point. Yeah. Fair enough. But like it was just like it was so fucking annoying and stupid. And then like and then I checked like the app on the App Store afterwards. Then when they were like, "Oh, by the way, it went live. Go and like it." I'm like, no. Well, my excuse was like, "Oh no, sorry, I can't go on the App Store. I don't use Apple devices, so I'm sorry, I can't." But obviously, even if I did, I wouldn't. But I went on there and they had like 2 reviews. I was like, well, okay, what was that even for? Like, what was the point?
Yeah, it's always like really nasty when you put so much effort into something and it just doesn't work. I
mean, I don't care. It's like I got paid for it. I had no ownership over it, and I don't care at all how well it does. But it's just like what was that for? Why?
Like, why was there so much like pedanticness going around?
Yeah.
They were secretly demons, and their goal was to induce suffering in you.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, they definitely succeeded in that one objective. They also asked me if like, oh, too bad you can't be our art director. Can you recommend anybody else from your art school to be our art director? I was like, I'll ask her.
Sorry, they're all busy.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, oh, I'll ask around. Oh, unfortunately, all my friends are professionals and they are already engaged in previous exercises. I was like, look, I don't care how much you guys are paying and how well you pay necessarily. You wouldn't. I am not inflicting you on any of my actual friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Damn, man.
And then you didn't even do NFTs, as far as I can tell.
It wasn't even NFTs.
It wasn't even NFTs. Like, you're not even trying to do a cash grab. You're just doing a stupid app.
Well, review number one was the son's best friend. Review number 2 was the CEO's wife.
Probably.
And
no, it was probably just the CEO themselves doing it. Let's be honest.
The CEO from 2 separate accounts.
Yep. Basically.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because they also asked me, hey, by the way, we launched it. Could you come and give us like a positive review? I was like, sorry, no.
No.
Wow.
I don't think I will.
Just pay a farm at that point, guys.
Yeah, they didn't even think to go to a farm. If you had a farm, you would get more than 2.
That's true. Oh man.
At that point, it's just like, man, like that much effort for so little gain.
So much for so little. I'm sure there are like so many projects that are like that out there though, that are just like ego trips.
Absolutely.
Basically.
It happens.
The number of projects where it is literally the person with the least amount of sense has the most money, and that's why they get to lead the project. I deal with that on a fairly regular basis, and it just
why is it that when they have the least sense out of the team that they just have the most money? Like,
well, because
what on earth?
Well, they probably inherited. They probably inherited. Yep, that was it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, time to siphon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, do you have one?
Oh, well, my day job is at a university, and
okay.
I work. Part of who I work with is the people who are engaging donors and people who are donating money. And something that has been outright stated is, remember, all of these kids who say they don't have money now, a lot of them are going to inherit money. Oh, that's the kind of people we are then. Okay.
That's so much fun.
Man. Oh.
I love that for you. Yes.
Oh, I have never been so jaded about humanity until I started working around places where people give donations. Like, legitimately. I used to work in news, and I would hear about every murder that happened in my city. I would hear about all of the bad things that happened in my city. And it was nowhere near as cynical as once I had to start working with people giving free money away.
Ooh. Yikes.
Slightly bitter, slightly. That's okay. It's all good. People are nice. They give money to the university. We use it on research, I swear.
Do a little research at the university.
Do a little research.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, the art school I attended, SCAD, is technically non-profit, but also the president is like the most highly paid president of an academic institution in the U.S., I think. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's rolling in bank.
I'm sure she earned it. Really, positive.
Like, what's really funny is that the amount of money she earns from there is probably not enough to buy like a decent sized place in Hong Kong.
Well, she's got her. No, she gets paid money. She gets paid like a couple.
But does she get paid like Hong Kong rich money?
Yes. Wait.
No?
Yeah, I mean, she gets paid like $1 million or $2 million a year or some bullshit. Like US dollars. She makes $2 million US dollars a year. So
okay,
yeah,
I am going to be awful and say that's really actually not a lot of money.
Well, no,
in the grand scheme of rich people.
No, it's not. But for like that kind of position, it's a lot.
Absolutely,
like for like a university president, that's a fuck ton.
Yeah,
yeah,
a lot.
and like it's an art school, so it's like the attendance is not like I mean it's a big art school, but it's still an art school, so like the attendance is not nothing relative to like the big universities.
Yeah.
But it's just
crazy.
fucking expensive. She sustains herself by sucking the souls out of like freshmen, I think.
I
Exactly.
think that'd be it.
Yeah, that's why she like like I'm pretty sure like she just exudes an aura of suffering, and that's why like nobody ever gets any sleep at art school.
I like that. I like that a lot.
God, I remember back in my first like foundation year at my British university. I was on like 2/3 like Monster Energy drinks a day, and we have the big cans over there. So,
I have actually not
I
had
was not
Monster
happy.
Energy.
See, okay, let me get this straight. So you have not burnt out. You have not had Monster Energy.
I don't drink
What are
coffee
you
either.
doing?
I don't drink coffee
What?
either.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm barely an artist, I know.
I'm no. I'm actually seething and coping right now. I'm not gonna.
No,
lie.
like I know, like I keep saying, like I'm like the most weirdly well-adjusted artist I know, because like I don't have like social anxiety. I don't like I don't mind meeting new people. I like I have no problems with like presenting my work. I don't get like I don't really
You learn things quite easily. Like you pick stuff up quite easily.
yeah, I don't really get like imposter syndrome, like all that the standard artist shit. It's like I'm just like I don't know, I'm fine.
Yeah, like with freelance, it's actually so crazy like how social you have to be.
Mm-hmm. That's the work. Not necessarily doing the actual work itself, but making sure that you can manage your clients, making sure that you can manage your workload, making sure that
To be fair, it's both.
you're not burning yourself out.
To be fair, it is both.
But I think it falls into like two niches of either you're really, really good at your art and people come to you, or you're very, very good at networking and people like you, so they come to you.
I honestly don't know which one I was on.
I think you're kind of a mixture of like both, because you do have parties that can do both, but that's like rare, in my opinion.
Fair.
Yeah, you either get one or the other.
I tend to find that there's a lot more people who are extraordinarily good artists than a lot more people who are extraordinarily good business people.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good artists aren't necessarily good at being a professional artist.
Yeah, and that's like where you actually find your success is can you figure out how to engage new people and find new clients? And there's only so long that you can afford to not get paid.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And I was also very fortunate because like I was just like staying with my I was like staying with my family, and I didn't have to pay rent, and like they were very supportive, and like all that stuff, which meant I had like the correct like circumstances that allowed me to like just have time after graduation to put like a properly professional portfolio together while like doing freelance. So I was very fortunate. You just like there's definitely like element of luck in there, I think.
Like luck is like so important as well.
Yeah.
Like it isn't everything, but it does make things go so much easier.
And being in the right
sure.
place at the right time.
Absolutely. I think I got into like the Warhammer fandom at a really good time. Like the Warhammer fandom has been really good for me. Like I don't know, because when I look at it, it feels like relative to a lot of like other online fandoms, it is both large enough where it's very diverse, and there's like a lot of different kinds of people engaged in the community, and there's also like it's also like not large enough where it's like incredibly mainstream, and yeah, exactly, very overwhelming in terms of like there's like a billion other artists like fighting for attention, and your stuff just gets like lost in the noise. And also like the average age group of like Warhammer fans also relatively is also like higher, so you get like a more mature fan base, which of people who like understand the commission sort of the basis, like how commissions work, and like that artists usually need to get paid, all that stuff, and are willing to like put time and support into like content that they enjoy. And I think that is very lucky for me. Just like there's been like a ton of great people that like you guys, like that I met through like starting from Warhammer, and just like sort of like expanding into like the community and adjacent communities, and that's just been super great for me. I feel like I'm super lucky, and also like Warhammer feels like it's poised to become like even bigger in terms of like mainstream appeal. And now that especially with like the TV show coming out, and like the you know bigger more big names in like mainstream media being like, oh yeah, we like Warhammer too, and that's like super cool. And just like I've struck it lucky because I managed to establish myself in the community before like that everything is super crazy. So I'm hoping for the best, and it feels like it's been really nice for me.
Like, it is a community where half of it is extraordinarily sweet and kind and healthy, and half of it is not.
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely
yeah.
true.
There's a shocking number of amount of overlap, and I still haven't figured that out. Like, how you can be somebody who is extremely positive and pro-trans rights and all of these other things, and yet still hang around with the absolute worst dregs of humanity. Whatever pulled it off. The difference between people who can understand what satire is and the people who can't.
You don't,
It's not.
yeah.
Though I have to say there's good and bad of that, right? Because like obviously I don't agree or want to associate with like crazy people, but then there are people, but then like
Good word.
especially with like American politics in the last few years, right? It's just been incredibly polarized, and people from like different like viewpoints and political aisles just don't talk to each other. And in my opinion, that's just not really healthy at all, because like regardless of my personal opinion on who's right and who's wrong, right? Like I think having an exchange of ideas is good, especially if you think like people have like problematic ideas that you want to like at least like present opposing viewpoints instead of having them being in like an echo chamber, right? You don't want them to you don't want them to only talk with people that are like them, and that's just incredibly unhealthy for everyone. And like, you know, especially for like more hateful shit that just like tends to fester, that's not a good thing. So having like a sort of like a neutral community where people can like you know, bond over things that they all enjoy, I think that could be helpful for just, you know, people seeing that everybody else is just people, right? Like obviously there's obviously there's always obviously there's always going to be like bad actors who are just like, they're never going to change, and they're only there to like be assholes to other people. And yes, those people you do like definitely don't want in your community. But just because like somebody might have problematic views doesn't mean you can't talk or engage with them, or even maybe be friends on some level. And hopefully like they might be able to like see that like not they're being close-minded, and you can help open their mind. That's not a bad thing either. But obviously that shouldn't be required of everyone. It's a ton of like mental work to talk to people that are like being assholes. So it's like it's complicated is what I wanted to say.
It is definitely, but it does have so many positive elements to it. Like, as much as it does have its conflicts and its problems, like I have basically never seen a community that I've enjoyed being a part of as much as the Warhammer community.
Yep.
They're fun. They have fun.
I agree.
I agree.
I think, like, you know, it's like Ryu said, we have come at a time where we're kind of benefiting from how it's growing at the moment, and that's going to be just good for us in the long run. Because I came to I came to Warham's first, and before that, I came to the community, to Jamie's community through TTS,
Mm-hmm.
and that has really worked out for me in a way that I didn't anticipate, but I am still very grateful for, because now I have a really nice, like, consistent client that I really enjoy working with. I got a romantic partner out of it.
Yep, that's a big thing.
That's a big
Always
thing, yeah.
helps.
Always helps. And it's just been enjoyable, and I've met really good people within this little niche that I found myself in. And I think that's something to be happy about,
I mean, you've been hanging out with me every Sunday, so
Almost every Sunday.
almost every Sunday.
Working.
I've been art directing. It's a lot of work.
She's been busy.
I've been
Yeah.
busy. I've been grinding, been doing the grind, the grind set, the
This
hustling,
Sigma grind set.
the Sigma,
Hustling.
Yes, gotta
Yeah.
keep the hustle.
yeah, keep the hustle, the Sigma grind
Yeah.
set.
But you want to know what I think is actually kind of crazy, Ryu? We have come from the same country at around the same time,
Uh
but we've never met until you came into the server
huh.
when I was overseas.
Well, I
I think
never.
that's quite silly.
Well, what kind of physical events did you actually attend in Hong Kong, though?
The thing is, like, I did go to like some Warhammer stuff, but I would be hanging out on Hong Kong Island most of the time.
Well, see, I didn't go to like physical events. That's like I didn't go to like Warhammer events. That's the thing.
Yeah. Were we just like educational shut-ins?
Well, no, I was
Well, we
mostly hanging out with my art school buddies and my high school buddies. So
That's fair enough.
yeah,
You do get into bubbles in Hong Kong super easily. You just kind of stay there.
yeah. I mean, when it's super easy to hang out with like people you're already friends with, it's just like, well, of course I'm gonna hang out with my friends. I like them. I like my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never well, for one, I never had space, so I never thought I was going to like get into like proper like Warhammer miniature stuff. So I didn't think it was. I visited like the
That's
shop.
fascinating.
I visited shops like every once in a while, like maybe like once a year or something. But like I wouldn't buy anything, so there was no reason for me to go to any like physical events. So I was like,
Yeah.
like I love the lore. But I would just read ebooks. I would read ebooks. I'd listen to like lore stuff. I watch TTS, watch like fan content. But I wouldn't like. I didn't feel particularly attracted to the physical, the actual war game stuff. So I didn't feel the need to like attend any particular events. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's fair. I kind of mostly went to my my little one near Kwantong, because it just had a really, really good community vibe where they didn't really expect you to play. You could just kind of go and hang out and chat with people.
Yeah.
That was basically it.
That does sound cool. I don't know. Maybe like maybe we can make like a pilgrimage back to like Hong Kong sometime, and then like go meet
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, like I would love to go back to Hong Kong. That'd be sick.
It would be. I mean, obviously with like a full-time job, it's a little bit harder, but we'll talk about it eventually. Maybe next year or something. We'll have to like think about it. I am going to Warhammer
Yeah.
Fest though.
Yeah, Warhammer Fest.
Awesome.
That's up in Nottingham, right?
No, that's happening in Manchester.
Very cool city, I will have you know. I think you've been up there a few times, haven't you?
Once, but I was mostly just passing through because my uncle lives in the outskirts of Manchester, so like I went through to take the train over. But I was like being in like central Manchester was just like literally like half an hour while I was waiting for like the transportation.
That's fair enough then. Yeah, you'll have an opportunity to like look at it a bit more as well.
Yeah, I'll be going with like a couple of my friends from Hong Kong, and we're gonna go hang out. We got an Airbnb. We get to like go around, we'll hopefully hang around like the city central, walk around a little bit, get to like go to the Warhammer Fest. That should be pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's gonna be so
it'll be
cool.
super sick. And I've heard that there's some pretty good like Asian food up there as well. Like I think there's quite a big like
Is there? We'll be
either
very
fancy-
judgmental, I'll have you know.
I know. Oh, I know.
Yeah, especially like one of my friends I'm going with, like he worked for a while in like a Chinese supermarket here in the doing like marketing work for them, I think. So he's like he's got to have like a very judgmental view of like British takes of Chinese food.
Yeah, that's fair. Ah, listen, I know we literally just mentioned we just mentioned Chinese food, and we're about to go on like a 20-minute tangent
Oh
about how
God,
good Hong Kong food is
this
again
happens every time we talk.
every single time.
Every single goddamn time.
Oh no.
Ah,
Every
I
single
will
time.
eagerly listen to this, however, because I am very much a food person. I love hearing about good food.
fair enough.
Like the one place I think about first when I think about Hong Kong is Sai Kung and like the seafood restaurants in Sai Kung.
Right. Yeah. Uh,
Like
they're so good. Jamie, you have
Jamie.
no idea what we're talking about, right?
None.
Okay.
Zero.
Jamie.
Continue.
Jamie, let me tell you, Sai Kung is absolutely insane, and I love it, and it's just so pretty. So if I just quickly, so basically there's like a pier, right next to like where you get the ferries and stuff. And if I just quickly pop it in the group chat here,
You know what?
Um,
I'll bring it up on stream so like anybody listening can
Yeah.
also get like a visual. It's the Psycho Infinity.
But yeah, look at that. So then we got like the mountains in the background, and then, so those ferries and stuff right on the pier, they take you out to like the islands.
Oh, this
They-
wait. The restaurant I have up here is the restaurant I went to. My uncle
my
took me
gosh.
to like literally right before I left for the UK.
Yes. Yes. Ah, man, I love it so much.
Oh, they had a
Also-
moray. They had a moray eel in this big tank.
Oh, yeah, no, like eels in Hong Kong just taste really good, and I don't know why.
Well, because we get them fresh. That's why.
Yeah, and this is how they keep them fresh, Jamie. We just have all these tanks.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. I want to have them all as pets.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no
I'm
pets,
so
no
sorry.
pet- no
Oh no,
pets.
no, no. I would totally still eat them. It's just
Okay.
Would also have them as pets. There's also like a huge grouper tank that the Hunky restaurant had.
Yeah. No, I'd like they
Oh,
have
let me see.
big groupers. They have groupers. I saw a grouper literally the size of a person. So
There it is. There it is. Okay, I found it. Look at this. Look at this, Jamie. You see that huge ass like?
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there'd be groupers like the size of small children in there.
no, I saw
Wow.
a grouper almost my size in one of them. I think. To be fair, it could have been like the glass distortion, but like man, it looked like almost as big as I was.
Yeah, it's almost like an aquarium. Okay. His that with the glass distortion. Here's a better picture. Can you kind of see it? Look at how big they are.
Oh my gosh.
Huge fish, and those would be like for like weddings and like huge groups.
Oh,
'cause-
okay.
You have to
I was gonna
order
say-
those in advance. Like yeah, it's like
Mm.
a banquet, and then it's not like
Yeah,
they
they're
don't serve
banquet
in
fish.
they don't serve in fillets. Like for fish this big, you can't even steam them. So I think what they do is they make like the like they scoop them into like balls of like fish. I think so. Like they do like different dishes with them. It's like you can't with fish that big. It's like you have to like do very specific recipes.
Yeah, but they're like proper banquet fish as well. Like, they're so good though. I really miss those like God, those like diamond-shaped fish that you just steam with
Tongyu.
like coriander. Tongyu, yeah.
Yeah, they're called pomfret.
Pomfret in English, yeah.
Sounds more French to me, but yes.
I think they were probably named by the French, and we just kind of kept the name or something.
Sounds about right. I mean, that's what English does.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can
True.
find it. Yeah, this thing. Okay, but yeah, this I miss because when I went to Hunky Seafood Restaurant, they steamed it in such a way that it just flakes. and
I
it's, like,
think
so
that
soft.
one actually isn't a tongyu. That's like a different kind. I know this because like I was like for Chinese New Year I was shopping with my mom and we saw like something that looked very close like this, but it wasn't. But it wasn't like tongyu. It was like
It's a different one.
yeah, it's similar but not the same.
I wonder if they're just kind of like taking other diamond-shaped fish and just calling it that.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of fish in the West.
it looks like that.
Actually, yeah, I think pomfret is.
Oh,
I don't.
they took off the fins. That's why.
No, it's not just that. I think it is the shape of the head.
Mm. Oh
It
yeah,
looks
it's
neat.
more rounded. But yeah, no, it's so tasty, and the sauce is like kind of like a soy and like kind of like a rice vinegar with ginger, and it's like really fresh and like.
There's different. There are different stuff that you can put on it. To be fair.
But the coriander top one is my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely one of my faves. Also like the scallops. Scallops, razor clams. Like you can get a lot of fish in Hong Kong for a really good price. It's crazy.
Yeah,
No?
like food in Hong Kong is just so much cheaper.
Yeah. And I like remember being able to like go out and get like a thing of noodles, like Nisha noodles. Like a bowl of noodles, a drink and a side for like 90 Hong Kong dollars, which is like
You can get for less, I'm sure. You're
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
It's just like
I
you're in Hong Kong Island, so
I know I'm on Hong Kong Island, so I'm paying like
and expensive shit.
paying expensive prices.
Yep.
I go to Kowloon and I just spend like 25 bucks on something that's actually more filling.
Exactly. Like it's not. It's just not. It's a completely different scale of like payment.
Yeah.
Man, I was just like the other day I went to like a restaurant here in Bromley, and
Oh yeah.
and then like they had like crispy. They had like, oh, crispy duck, and then they give me a crispy duck. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is not the correct crispy duck. It's just like deep. It's just like deep fried duck leg, and then and then they're like, oh, shredded, and like put it into like the pancake. I was like, have you guys like seen what it's actually supposed to be like? I was like, this is not correct.
Man, I remember getting crispy duck noodles from MX on Hong Kong Island for like 25 Hong Kong dollars.
God,
And that was more expensive, but it also came with a drink and a side, so
25 Hong Kong dollars is nothing, man. What are you talking about?
yeah, I know. It's like, man, I remember like telling people, oh, I got like duck noodles for a really, really good price. It's so good. And they're like, how much do you pay for it? Like, and I was like, oh, like almost £3 for the whole thing. And they're like, what?
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, well, people in the UK have like zero concept of like cheap food when you eat out.
Yeah.
And also,
It's
like,
also, like-
if you get that kind of stuff here as well, it's gonna be like exotic. So it's gotta be like they're gonna charge more for it.
Right. Yeah.
Massive shame about that. And I think also just like eating out in general is more of a luxury than it is in Hong Kong. Because in
Mhm.
Hong Kong you don't get that many kitchens, like good kitchens. So you have to like kind of go out and like get your own food.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't even have the space in their apartments for like actual kitchens and cooking and stuff either. So can't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I also remember, I think it might have been last year, Jamie, but remember when I was talking about like Hong Kong food culture for like Outset?
Yes, and like Hong Kong is definitely one of the reference points that we have for some cultural elements. So I should be asking
Ooh.
you guys more.
Tell me about
questions.
it. I'd love to. You know what? We should
Right here.
do. I love doing like world building shit. Like we should have just like, we should do a thing where we just like hang out and talk about world building. That would be so fun.
Yeah,
I
you
would
know,
love to
you know
do
what,
that.
guys? I'm gonna leave you two to talk more about like world building aspects in Outset and kind of incorporating some Hong Kong stuff in there. I'm gonna let you talk about that. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Fair enough.
Totally.
Yeah. So tell me about Offset.
Yeah, Outset is
sorry. Yeah.
Outset is the first city. So it is the first city that was really established in Tyne as a city itself, and it has been steadily being populated by multiple different populations over time. And it is essentially a hive city, but fantasy is the easiest way to explain it. So
Okay.
it's built, and it is steadily sinking into the ground, and it is
Ooh.
as a result, people are continually building on top of it. So it's a very haphazard type series of structures, and trying to figure out the idea of, okay, so people who are living in tight spaces, people who are living in extraordinarily tall buildings where they don't necessarily have the ability to, say, for example, have chimneys in every house, just trying to establish what their day-to-day life is. So the idea of, well, there aren't a lot of good kitchens in Hong Kong, that's the exact kind of stuff that I'm thinking of, because if you don't have electric heat, well, you're going to have even fewer. So is there a big restaurant culture? Erndil, one of our players, he's written several food documents, and one of the ones that he wrote was a food document for Outset, and like exploring things like street sausages and that kind of stuff. And so we've been really trying to figure out the day-to-day life stuff a little bit more, while Thurston's busy figuring out the big gameplay fun.
For food, there was this one channel where I'm gonna look it up. There was like one channel where they just like, where it's like a guy who travels all over trying out like the food in like all kinds of crazy places, and he went to like a slum in like South Africa or something. It was just like
is it Anthony Bourdain by any chance?
No, it was not.
No, okay. Gotcha.
I know who Anthony Bourdain is. I would remember.
Okay, gotcha.
That. I'll look it up later, but yeah, it was just like travel food where it was like going to like all kinds of like really interesting places and looking at like the kinds of food they have, and like sometimes he just goes to like these extremely poor or like crammed to like slum areas as well, where it's just like absolutely crazy what they can whip up in like these like really limiting spaces.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff would be really interesting to reference, I think.
It is, and see that, like, just that acknowledgement of, yes, they have limited spaces, so they do have a different culture that's formed as a result of that. That's the kind of world building stuff that gets me really excited.
Yeah, I know, but like it's the stuff that you can take advantage of your limitations and push those elements as not as like a limitation but as a selling point for a guiding point for your world building. That's where it gets interesting, in my opinion.
Exactly, absolutely. When when we're pulling together things, Thurston is very much a simultaneous big picture and small picture in terms of he is thinking of how does the entire world work, and then he's also thinking of how is this working for my players who are in this game and having fun. And like, you can build a world out of that, absolutely, but I always start asking him things like, well, how do they build this stuff, and who's doing this particular task, and like what kind of clothes do they wear? And he's not necessarily thinking of all those little details, so we have the rest of the team kind of step in and say, okay, I'm going to write a document about food, I'm going to write a document about like some of the societal stuff that comes together, and that's where we get some really interesting world building stuff going on.
That really is what you need a team for. Like, there's no I don't think there is like a single writer out there who is able to just be like, no single writer has like zero blind spots. And especially when it comes to like world building, where it's like literally you're creating like entire world. It's like, I don't blame anyone for not being able to like think of every single thing, and that's what having a team is so useful for. It's like, oh yeah, but what about this that I'm interested in? What about that, like, that you didn't think of? You know, like, it's just these like interesting, fun things that you can play with.
Yeah. Basically looking at feedback, you know.
Yes, very much so. You need people to like look at your stuff and question it. That is sort of like why I really enjoy DMing as like in my own setting, just because like when the players see something that doesn't make sense, they point it out to me. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna make something up now, and if I like it, I can keep it.
Yes, and that is something that's really nice about being a hobbyist to some extent, is, oh well, I don't like that, I can change it, it's mine. Like, you can go in and you can start editing stuff, whereas when you're in a corporate creative environment, you're kind of stuck because you have to follow what's in the guides.
Well, I do feel like that also probably depends on who you're working for, to some extent, I think. And also, like, I do feel like maybe more big publishers should try to embrace a more agile style of world building. It's fine to make mistakes. Just work on it, you know?
Yeah. Like, we've got a lot of people in the community who will come into the boards and say, or the channels, and say, well, how does this thing work? How does that thing? I have no idea, and I don't think Thurston has thought of this, so I don't know what I can say. And oh no, but like you can't build the entire world. The whole setting for Rock Grind came together in about 3 months. So just the fundamental and core aspects of it, we were working on it over the course of just a 3-month period. There was no way we were going to be able to cover every single
way. Yeah,
little
absolutely
bit.
impossible.
Impossible, exactly.
So, wait, what were we talking about for the
Food.
yeah, so like, what aspects of like the food stuff did you guys take?
In terms of the actual like preparation of things, the idea that there is a relatively strong restaurant culture, that people are going to pubs for day-to-day food, that not necessarily there isn't necessarily home cooking that's as critical of a thing, but that like it is still a place where there's things like preservatives that are going to be extremely important, because when you have such a limited source of food, because Outset is primarily self-contained, it grows most of its own food, it doesn't really import as much because it is stuck in the middle of a swamp and there's not a lot of good import opportunities. It has to be relatively self-sustaining, so things like food preservation. And
I've seen the swamp. Sophie was working on a swamp piece.
Yeah.
It's not a nice place. It's definitely not a nice place.
What? You're telling me a swamp isn't pleasant? I thought Florida was like paradise on earth.
Literally, some of the visual references are from my family's farm's swamps.
Okay.
So yes, swamps aren't necessarily the nicest of places.
Darn, couldn't have guessed.
But yeah, like, and also just transportation through swamps. Like, there's no solid road to transport a lot of different things at the same time. Like, I think Hong Kong has way better food culture just because, like, it's a harbor. It's basically a harbor with a city attached to it.
Well, it started out as that, yes.
Yeah, basically a harbor town, and it just became like a huge city, like metropolis. And yeah,
due to necessity more than anything, really.
Yeah, like even like
and circumstance, I have to say.
Yeah, we have like water taxis over there as well. That's how ingrained like the ocean is in Hong Kong's culture. It's crazy.
At least it was.
That is so cool.
Yeah, like sampans and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the old Jamie, have you seen like the Chinese junks that they still have around for like tourists?
I have seen photos, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
they are super cool.
Tourists.
I've been like playing around with like a visual image in my head for the last couple of days because I've been rewatching Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Honestly, that's such a well-produced trilogy. So much fun, and the action is so good, and like I really appreciate like the Chinese elements, even though it's not all necessarily authentic, but they tried, and I appreciate that, and the music is so good. But anyway, so like do you guys remember in like the second movie where they had like that fleet of like ships at night?
Oh
yeah. And I've been playing around with a setting idea that I have that I will really want to put time into like fleshing out. Essentially it's like Dark Souls but for like a fictional version of China, and then like my current working title for it is the Land of Silver and Silk, and then I have like another sort of like a spin-off idea for that one where it's like the Silk Road Dark Souls, it's just like and you can explore a little bit more of like going further afield from China and going more into like Tibet, going into like the Central Asia, that this sort of like those areas could be super interesting. But like I really want to do like a night scene with just like a bunch of like birding like junks in the middle of a lake advancing with like just like undead on them, and then like just I don't know, just like a really cool vision in my head with like junks. I'm just like, oh man, I really want to do something with those like really cool angular sails.
Yeah, honestly, like the Chinese junks absolutely slay. Like whoever invented them back in the day, good aesthetic choice.
You did great. From a concept art perspective, I salute you.
Yes.
I think I also have a piece that I really want to continue with rock grind environmental design, which is like remember like this kind of like hole in the wall like tea shops and like that dessert place on Elgin Street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to do like kind of like a hole in the wall like soup dispensary in Outset that's like
Yeah.
under like a
Interesting.
staircase or something very like atmospheric and very just hidden away.
I always love that kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, like it's just a hole in the wall, and it's probably called something like the keyhole or something like that. Be very
I love
cute.
it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I might do that at some point.
Do you guys
Some
have
work on environmental design?
Do you guys have like a set art style for the rock grind stuff?
Primarily we do pen and ink for most of the art orders that we do. There's a lot less in terms of the environmental pieces just because we've had so few of them done. Most of them come from me actually.
Yep.
And they're mostly matte paintings and more photo bash concept art style stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, more photo bash.
Essentially the only thing that we really have as a hardcore rule is we lean away from anything anime-esque. Like literally that is kind of one of the only rules that we've had thus far of yeah, this is not
Nani?
necessarily I know. But we have spent a lot of time establishing like character art styles and things, but not necessarily the
Art
environmental
style.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
And
oh, this
most
is what
of
the
design stuff comes
characters.
from me.
It's like this is what the characters look like, but you haven't like been like, okay, this is what all the art should visually identify as necessarily.
We have notes, but it does usually end up coming down to just discussions at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you guys don't have like an art director, right? So.
Well, Skelebine is our art director. It's
Oh, okay.
just that she's also doing her own comic. She's got a lot of other stuff on the go too, so we don't necessarily get as much discussion as we would like. And it's also like I'm doing it on the side of my desk. Thurston's doing it on the side of his desk, so we can't necessarily put in as much energy into making sure everything is right.
Understandably so.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We just gotta keep on making stuff.
All in good
Exactly.
time. All in good time.
All in good time. I
Like
think
we can't
there's
have
growing-
everything in all at once. That's very important for me, is that we have to have realistic goals.
Yeah.
And right now the big things are just continuing to make really, really good shows and continuing to make really, really good like side content that we've got coming out, and then we can keep on expanding as time goes on.
Yes.
I'd love to see like once you guys like have like it more established to see like what you guys want to like do with this setting and the project.
I would love to answer those questions for you, but we definitely have a lot of stuff on the go right now, and we
Yeah.
need to establish a lot of that a lot better.
Definitely. I mean, like even if you did have it set, I wouldn't expect you to be able to like tell me about it right now. So fair enough.
Yeah, some stuff has to be a bit secret. Secret.
For now.
that-
For now.
That,
For now.
that too, yes.
For now. For now.
Secrecy is important, although it's really fun to go into the comments threads and seeing people say, oh, I wonder X, I wonder what, and I'm just sitting there chuckling in the background because I know that that's going to pay off in like season 4, season 5, and people are already thinking about it now, and okay, yeah, we're doing our job, we're doing it good. Thurston is doing a fantastic job at doing his little seeding of interesting world building concepts.
I've
It's gonna
been
be very exciting.
I've been sort of doing that just because our studio announced one of our projects is like a Transformers game. So
Nice.
so we announced it, and then like every once in a while I go check out like the fan communities and see what the hell they're talking about, and there's a whole like,
Yes.
and then they're like rampant speculation based on like 3 or 4 year old leaks from when it was like with another studio, and oh my god, it's gotta be this, it's gotta be that. I'm like they have no idea what's going on.
Yep. And when you have somebody who comes in and says, oh, I know exactly what it is. No, you don't. Where did you get this
Yep.
information from?
Yep. I was like, I worked there. I was like, how are you making this so confidently when I don't know the information?
Exactly.
Ah, Yep, fan communities. What will you do? That's just how it goes.
Oh, but I love it too.
It's
'cause just,
fun.
like, the speculation stuff is
Yep.
just so. It's because somebody is paying attention, and when somebody is paying attention to the creative stuff that you've done, that's where you know, oh man, I did good.
Yeah. By the way, Dankward, do you prefer dance or dank? Dance? Also, he says he got in trouble for like one of the rock rant stuff, I think.
Oh, what did he get in trouble on?
What did you get in trouble for?
He's gonna have to specify. I do not know.
Yourself.
Explain thyself, yes. Eventually, once like I'm more settled into like sort of like the streaming thing, I do want to like spend like my streaming time sort of like doing like world building session stuff where it's just like sort of like sketching out different things for my own settings. That would be super fun, I feel like.
Absolutely. I've been trying to get Thurston to sit down with me and do a few little sessions for the Patreon on specifically on maps and map design and map making, but also just in general, just trying to get him to sit down and talk a little bit more about his thought processes. But he keeps exploding, so that doesn't always get the opportunity to happen.
Fair enough. Dank also said he stole the name from Dankwart, so I'm gonna go with Dank.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the tea from Dank about why he's in trouble.
Yeah, you gotta specify. You can't just tell us you got in trouble and then not say anything about it.
I'm trying to remember what it is now.
I feel like it could be cool to just have like some non-artists on sometime as well, just to chat, and then we could just do like a draw along where it's just like, yeah, we just hang out and then like you give me ideas for stuff to draw on the spot.
I think that'd be a good idea because that opens up a lot more people to join.
Yeah.
And say hi.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like nice to have people to hang out with and talk with, and like people like Firsten or Erndil, like they don't need to like draw. We can just like chat, and then they can give me ideas for a draw, and I can draw.
I think it can work out really well.
Yeah, good hangout space. That could be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the anime rule.
Anime. Oh, was he being a bit anime? Was he being a little bit of a weeb?
Oh, what was it?
Did he get in trouble for being a weeb?
Well, definitely we have to like roll back a couple of things, but most people can switch styles relatively easily. So
You say
it's just
that.
a matter of tweak a little bit. Like some people can't, absolutely, but sometimes it's just okay, change the eyes, and then all of a sudden it's at an acceptable point. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
just...
I don't think that's trouble. I think that's just art direction.
I have a bad habit of giving like important characters to people who I have great affections for in our fan community. So Dank has actually drawn some very important characters, and I can't say why they're important or who they are, but he has definitely drawn some important people.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people who do like not necessarily like full-time art as their jobs have like a lot of issues with like adjusting styles, at least in my experience. Like it takes a lot of adjustment because like a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about, oh, what is my style? So it's like what style should I do? Like, how can I develop a style? So like when it comes to like, hey, can you do another style? Once they've actually set that up, it takes a lot of time and like mental adjustment to get into that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I think I've been trying to like be a lot more loosey goosey about my own style and like what I am capable of personally, and I think that's also why I'm trying to push myself to do more environmental stuff. So it makes sense, you know.
It is a valuable skill.
I'm very proud of you for trying.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So many people don't even try, honestly.
I don't know. I quite like drawing little scenes now. Quite interesting.
you gain a lot of other skills from doing it too. Like you immediately have a better understanding of composition, and you immediately have a better understanding of light and shadow, because if you get those wrong, you know right away in a landscape piece.
That perspective, people are so bad at perspective. I've worked with outsource artists who are just like can't do perspective for shit, and I'm just like, God damn it! Do I have to like make the perspective grid for you?
Yeah, like, so Ryu's begging everyone to learn perspective at least once. You know,
Please learn, read a book about perspective once, make a perspective grid, and follow the grid. Please, that's all it takes.
I cannot work with perspective grids, but I can just figure it out in my head. But if I draw the grid, I actually struggle more. And I have never figured out why my brain works this way, but it does. But I can have an innate sense, but the moment I actually try to draw out the perspective as opposed to working on the overall scene, it blows.
It's more important to understand the principle of the grid than necessarily having a grid. Often I'll have like I haven't used like a grid for years now, but like back when I was like starting to like learn perspective, I would put out a grid when I was sketching, and then afterwards I would just go by like what looks correct.
Yeah.
But understanding how a grid works is still important for like analyzing what you're drawing, I feel like.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
I can't believe Jamie is allergic to perspective grids. How sad.
Okay, you have seen my matte paintings. I have a very good understanding of perspective. You cannot mush together 14 photographs and not understand perspective.
Oh god, that is so true actually. Like people are like there's so many people who are like, oh man, like photo bashing must be so easy. It's just like like put things together and then they work. You don't have to do any work. I'm like, god damn it, no, it's so much blending.
No,
I have to like when I was like started picking up, my friends like were just like telling me, okay, so don't even start photo bashing. Do a painting, and then photo bash over it, and then spend 6 hours looking for the correct photos before you even start photo bashing. Because like God, like it's so much of a pain if like the lighting is off or like the perspective is incorrect. Like it's just
explaining to people, no, I can't change the lighting to the other side and still have it at this angle. Like for some reason that just doesn't click, and no, that's really hard, you know.
But it's just magic, right? Photoshop does all the work for you.
Yeah, it does all the work for you, exactly.
Speaking of,
I saw this one guy do something once where he just painted over it and everything showed up. You can just do that. Oh, I hate those videos.
Actually, though, have you seen the new Photoshop AI tools that they want to implement this year?
There are some incredibly positive things that can come out of that. Unfortunately, it's being approached in a very negative way by the company, and it's not being approached in a way that is beneficial to artists above like their shareholders and above their own personal profits. And that's where I am. Finding a challenge with that.
The AI photo editing tools are very useful, though.
There's so many cool things, like just the idea of being able to slightly turn something, like match color, for example, is a current existing feature of Photoshop.
The Neuro filters are actually super useful.
They are extremely useful. It's just like getting people to understand, no, there's more details to it than that. Actually, lobbying governments to properly take care of this stuff, that kind of fun stuff.
No, silly companies. You can't just cut out the artist and get the computer to do everything, you silly goose.
But they want to. It'll save so much money. We're gatekeeping.
No, honey, I just want my job.
Yeah.
I do think that AI art is not really dangerous for existing studio, professional tier artists, because you will definitely still need people who are able to use those tools to make something tasteful. So people, and also AI art is just not very useful for production pipelines. So for people like me who are already in the studio, have established job, have a decent reputation, we'll be fine. We're not getting replaced anytime soon, just because you can't make an AI design for you. You can make it generate shit. You can't make it like actually follow art direction. You can't really make it like do design, like give me a few like different variations of like this specific idea, but also come up with creative solutions for maybe how to actually solve that problem. It's just coming up with shapes that vaguely are correct, right? So it can't actually design. But like for people, like for students, for like freelancers online who have to work with people who don't understand pipeline, who don't have to like work with a team, it's gonna be like a huge pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea is, where do we get a new you if there's no opportunities for them to establish themselves or gain the skills from lower cost, lower visibility projects? Like, if you're then using AI instead, well, that's a big problem, because then you're essentially removing an entire generation's worth of learning out of that. And if you don't
or
have
at
anybody
least
to learn
entire
from,
generation's ability to support themselves while they're training themselves up to be good enough to like take on those more advanced roles.
exactly.
Honestly, I kind of see this whole AI thing as more like utilizing a sat nav while you're driving. Yeah, like being able to know the roads and know where to go and how to handle the roads in the moment is a good skill. But having a sat nav just makes everything so much easier, because you don't have to have that mental load of thinking about where you're gonna go. But with AI art, yeah, I can add a bit of texture on this. Oh, like I can change this thing, I can color correct that thing. Okay, that's fine, that's good, awesome. But when someone thinks that the supporting tool can replace me as an artist, that is kind of scary to think, because then people are just going to try and justify it by being like, oh, this stuff that they produced is actually good, so we don't need you. And that's, I guess, the fear that people are having at the moment.
And totally justifiable, because people who do that don't understand art anyway. So it's not like they could tell the difference between like good and bad, because it's just like, oh look, it's values and color, right? It's just the exact same thing. I can't tell the difference between good and bad design.
It's a thing I made. Look, I'm so attached to it now, even though like I typed some stuff in and it generated it for me, but I technically made it, so it's mine.
Oh, the
and
people
I'm proud of
bitching
it.
about somebody stealing their prompts. Oh, I love those.
It's very funny.
You know the names of artists? You're stealing from me.
You know how to like make an AI just look at data sets? What?
I know. You must be so skilled and talented. And everybody is so envious of your skill set that you've earned, right? It is very delightful to see them coming to the same conclusions that actual artists have been dealing with for many, many years in regards to protecting your work, protecting your style, dealing with people who want what you have.
All I have to say to that is cope and sieve.
Yes. Exactly.
But yeah, like at the end of the day, the AI as it is at the moment has to be supported by a professional artist.
Yep.
Not have it languish by itself, like creating like poor, like low quality stuff.
I'm not even against AI art. I mean, I use it I use it every once in a while to do stuff like well, sometimes when I do like photo bashing, I just go on like Midjourney and tell it to like generate some textures for me, and then photo bash that in, because like it's easier than like taking like 2 hours to look for like the correct photo texture. So like
And
it
that is
definitely
making it
has
more
a
efficient.
yeah, exactly. It has a ton of usage, and like I don't think any artist can deny that like there is utility to the tool, but like people thinking that you can just like be like, hey, that does like everything, is just like just wrong, like and dumb, and like it's not even just that, it's just being an asshole to people who just not understanding art at all in general, I guess.
Yeah, and like choosing the idea of I am saving money over I am generating a community, I am gaining relationships with good artists. That's a big mistake.
I get the saving money part. Like, I won't be too mad if, like, I totally get it if, like, oh, it's like somebody, oh man, I have like zero budget, I have no money, but I want to like make my own like visual novel or something. I want to like so like I get like a subscription to AI, I generate some stuff out. You know what? That's fair enough. Like, it's not like you can afford it. I'm not gonna. That makes sense. That is that is a project in which like I understand why you do it, and it makes sense, and if you get a decent result out of it, great. But you if studios who can afford people do it, it's just like, but why? But why? It's just like it's not going to be as good. It's inferior results.
From a media standpoint, we're also going to be seeing a very interesting time in that people will not understand how this technology works, how it scans information, how it generates data. And in terms of media literacy, most people don't have the ability to identify small details in AI images at a glance.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, I feel like most artists can, but definitely the average person definitely can't tell.
yeah, and that's project managers. That's the people who are in a CEO suite type thing. They don't understand the difference, and that's going to be so hard to get past. Where no, you're not actually gaining from this. That you're not actually going to be saving money if you're just managing to steal all of the money from everybody else.
I think what's going to be happening is people are going to be looking at self-made art and AI art as two different standards. So AI art would be sort of seen as more like clip art, more as like a filler.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, self-made art will be something that is more sought after, has more class to it, I suppose is the right word. Like,
well, it's like having
something...
commissions versus just like finding something that looks like what you want on Google Images.
Or like,
yeah,
or like having an espresso machine compared to instant coffee.
And I don't think that's the worst thing, I guess. It's just like it does make things much tougher for like up and coming artists, people who are trying to make a living, getting started at making a living.
I tend to look at that in the same vein as stock imagery and stock photography, stock video, stock like pre-existing templates and content. At least those came from a human, and they consented to their works being sold. That's a big quandary for me. I don't want to use something where somebody did not consent to their work being used, and there's no way to know where a data set pulled its information from right now.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't be against like training an AI with my own shit.
Absolutely, but you will have consented, and you will also have consented to where that data set is then being used.
Yep.
Like, that would be incredibly valuable, and I'm not saying that AI is a negative in terms of the actual possibilities of the technology.
Yeah,
it's just how it will be used.
I definitely don't think most level-headed people are saying, "Oh no, death to AI." It's mostly about the like. Remember when like the outrage on ArtStation was going on? You guys know about that, right?
What, the AI stuff coming out on ArtStation, and everyone was like, "No to AI."
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so then when people started,
that was but that was
ArtStation. It just messed up everything with the prompt.
Yep. But well, no, that didn't actually happen. That was a more meme because like the data sets were gathered before that happened. So like that didn't actually mess up the prompts. It wouldn't have.
I see.
Yeah, that was really just a meme. But like, you know, that was all about the labeling of AI art in the context of ArtStation, because ArtStation is a portfolio, it's a portfolio site, and you can't have like imagine like a photographer just put like a bunch of like, oh, I found these images on Pinterest, I think they look really good, so I'm gonna put them on here and be like, hey, it's my portfolio. You can't do that. Like, that's not useful for at all for the purpose of the site. So it's like art is it was more about the labeling of AI art instead of being like AI is evil. So like I think most level-headed people understand that.
Yeah, I think that's just the case. You get a range of people who range from like being quite uneducated about it and scared, and being quite educated about it and not scared, but also
concerned about how people are treating and labeling, and like concerned versus like panicked, right? I guess is how you
But
we all
need to remember the real villain here. Dumb CEOs.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Always the villains.
Always.
Concentration of capital is always the villain.
I say this while working for Tencent.
Yeah, but you're vibing, you're chilling, you're not crunching. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
They treat you nice.
It was very
They treat you
funny.
nice as fuck.
It was very funny last week. When I was like, I was talking to someone on like another like web like concept art Discord, and like, oh man, like work's been weird lately, and then like and then like, oh man, how's it been? Like, you guys been crunching? And I'm like, no, I have nothing to do at work. Because like we were in between tasks, and I was like waiting for something to be given to me. So they're like, oh, you crunching? I was like, no, we're not crunching like at all. We don't crunch. And then it's just like, it's so weird for the game industry to like have zero crunch.
That is so healthy to hear, though. I hope that they can continue with not that you have nothing to do. Obviously, that's not.
No.
realistic.
That's back to normal. I have stuff to do now. I was waiting for the briefs to be put together. So it's just like, it's weird after like you know, I had like a 3-week-long task. I finished it, and it is like coming off like the bigger task, and it's like, oh yeah, we're waiting, we're putting a brief together. Just wait. Like, okay, so I'm at work, and like, what do I do? You know?
You do PD, professional development. That's what you do.
That is what I
Right?
did. Yeah, I started looking at like Blender tutorials for the.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then I was also looking into like the VR modeling, all that stuff.
Excellent.
Very
I know how to use my time productively. I am no fool.
Trying to teach that to young artists is also quite the challenge.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Man, I want to like get more into like supporting younger artists, and as like a resource. I signed up for there's just like game development professional sort of like contact sheet. That I signed myself up for that. Like every once in a while, I get like emails from students and people who want to get into game industry asking for advice. I think that's great. I want to do more of that.
Fantastic.
Like-
Yes.
It's just like, it's very tough for a lot of people, even though like some of it feels like common sense to me. It's like a lot of people just don't think of stuff that that would help their portfolio and help them get a job.
Absolutely. And having that contact itself is valuable, where they're hearing from somebody who's actually experienced it and not just somebody who's telling them what to do, even though they've never actually done it themselves, which is a lot of art teachers, unfortunately.
Well,
they
it
haven't been in
depends-
the industry in a
that-
while.
Yeah, that's true. That does depend on like what schools you go to, but absolutely that can be the case a lot of the time, and it's not super helpful because they are professors, right? So you expect them to be like super experienced in the field, and you know, to be fair, most of them are at least experienced, but like especially for the games industry, it changes so fast that like it's hard to like keep your eye on everything and teach at the same time as a full-time position.
Agreed.
I was at a comics event, and I went to an organization, or it was basically a few people from an organization talking about publishing comics and the publishing industry. And every single one of the people on the panel had established their career prior to webcomics.
Yep.
How?
That is-
How can you say that this is a group of people we should be listening to? Like, come on.
That's
I
a
was so
big
disappointed.
fallacy. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I keep well, at least to be fair, my school was pretty good about that. We had like entire class dedicated to like webcomics, so
Good.
like we were good about it. But like
History? Was there a
but-
history of webcomics?
no, but we did
Ah.
briefly cover some of them because we had like we had a history of comics course. So like we would go over, it's like each couple weeks was like an entire different era of like comics. So you know, we go over like the Linclair, the 80s, 70s, or like the French Belgian shit. We would go over like
Yeah.
anime stuff, the manga stuff. We would go over like the golden age of American
gosh.
comics, and then like so like the last era was like the modern stuff, in which like there was like more talk about like what the modern industry is like. So, and our professors at least were fairly well pretty they knew their stuff, so we had a pretty good overview of that, at least in my opinion. But like that's not necessarily always true, and like we went over to like there was what so we did so SCAD has a campus in France. So but like that campus is not like a full-time campus, so you can't you can't be stationed at that campus full time, because like they have like different events in each quarter of the year, in which like different majors would have like different things going on for them, like a different itinerary just like designed specifically for what their needs are. So
Right.
so Sequential Art would go there in winter, because like that's when the Angoulême festival is, and we would all go out on a trip to the Angoulême Comics Festival and like check out
Oh my
everything.
gosh.
I met
I'm so jealous.
I met Karl Kopinski and bought his sketchbook there. That was pretty cool.
I am so jealous.
Yeah, and rest in peace. But Kim Jung Ji was also there, and he was doing like a live drawing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
You were
super
so
cool.
lucky.
Yeah, that was really cool. But also, we our professor also like had like contacts in Paris, and we went and like met one of like the publishers, and like I feel really bad because one of the other people, one of the other sequential art students there, during like the question and answers, he asked like, oh, like how do you feel about the modern state of like the comics industry? Like, what do you think? What is your advice to somebody who wants to get into like the comics industry? And then like the publisher just looked as super jaded. It was like, well, my advice is don't
Yep.
get it. It's just like,
Yep.
and like the guy just looks so crushed, and I was like,
Oh.
yeah, because like I didn't want to do comics anyway, so I was like, I'm here for concept art. I was like, yep, I don't like, I'm fine. I already knew like that the traditional comics were having huge issues. I mean, there's a reason why DC and Marvel mostly make their money from like multimedia these days, honestly.
Yep. IP.
Yeah, IP is more powerful than like raw comic sales. Just like it's been really hard for the comics to adapt to like the modern age of like online publishing and all that. So it's just like, for me, I was like expecting the answer, but it was just like so brutal and blunt for that one guy. Just like, you should have expected this though, right? I mean, like if you want to do comics, web comics is like really where it's at in terms of like at least newcomers, right? Like, unless you already have like a really established pedigree, like major comics and graphic novels are just not profitable.
No, exactly. Like, I have had such a hard time explaining to people that in my office specifically, where they don't particularly care too much about comics, just explaining to them that superhero comics are the tiniest margin of current sales numbers. Current sales numbers are concentrated in manga and manhwa in the West.
Yep.
So if that's where all the money is going to, perhaps people should be exploring why these stories are popular and trying to sell those kinds of concepts instead of continuing on with big two superhero over and over again. Superheroes are the tiniest part of the genre.
And there's nothing wrong with superheroes, but they're just like, the money is no longer in comics for superheroes. They've already branched out so far that like comics are just like, they're almost doing it out of obligation at this point. It's just like, traditionally we did them, so we have to keep doing them. But really, they're not making that much money off of them, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, out of all of like the big comic titles, only really like maybe like 10 or 20 of them are making any real money for the superheroes.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, the
But
comics
there's always
industry
got to be
is
new
weird.
properties. Like,
That's
there will
true.
always be new stuff that's coming out. It's just that
And
now
there's
it's,
indie publishers too.
yes,
But for the-
who have a lot more power than they ever did before, and I love that about
That
it.
is so good. Yeah, it's like it almost feels like to me it's like it's a parallel of like the video games, where it's like indie games became like grew and grew and grew, where they're like starting to take on a significant cut of the industry, and that is such a good thing, I think.
It's so good, except for mobile games.
Except for mobile
I
games.
I say that knowing full well that you're doing stuff for mobile games and whatnot. It's
I
a
am
different
not.
type of game.
I
Well,
am
you
no
were.
Yeah, it
longer.
was the first
I
one.
was, but
Yeah.
I didn't give that. I give a shit about that one.
Honestly,
Okay, good.
honestly, when it comes to the creative industry in Hong Kong, it's either advertising or mobile games for
Yep.
art.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
That's heartbreaking.
And like I said, I didn't do that much stuff for them. I mostly did stuff online, so it's like I only did like maybe 2 free gigs for like mobile games. That's it.
Okay, good.
And they were like just like individual illustrations. I was never attached like super long term.
Okay.
Let's see. I did do like a bunch of marketing stuff. I did like a month and a half as like a freelance, like in-house freelance for contractor, I guess, like for a marketing studio. I did do like I've done like storyboards for a few commercials, I guess. So like I've done that side of stuff as well, but it's really not where I put most of my time into.
Yeah,
is
currently
good.
it's concept art and your Warhammer stuff.
Yes.
Good.
And that is sustaining me well enough. I am happy where I am. But like I said, I definitely want to like start getting into like my own IP stuff. I've been like playing around with like an indie game idea with like one of my friends for a while now, and it would be super great if we can like and I can finally just I would be working on it right now if not for my art direction thing that for the tabletop project I'm working on. I would be doing that because like I did learn how to like I'm enough of like a generalist in terms of game development where I know how to do basic programming. I can rig, I can animate, not great, but I can animate. I know how to do VFX. I know how to like do. I know how to like work with engines and do level design in engines. I can do most everything, just not necessarily super well. I'm pretty sure if I put my time and knowledge into it, we can bash out like something relatively decent. Because like the scope we're thinking of right now is just like side scroller, 2D side scroller, and that is relatively easy to accomplish. So like I
Generalist. Woo.
yeah, I definitely want to like start getting into because eventually I want to be like art direction for like AAA projects, right? And you sort of have to know like a little bit of everything for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely I do want to just start getting into more of that, like marketing my own IP, making use of my own stuff, set up my own sort of like community and support for that kind of thing. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, like I'm quite excited for the point in my career when I can work on like my own project in a way that feels fulfilling and like validating, like for an audience. Because I'm kind of trying to break into like doing that kind of thing with my coffee shop reviews that I'm kind of doing at the moment.
Okay,
But,
your
yeah.
food illustration that you've been doing is phenomenal. Like, it is absolutely wonderful work.
It's really nice, and I do
It is
get some food
beautiful.
as a result.
Oh, so
Work that.
I know Sophie's seen them, but Jamie, have you seen my food art?
No,
Yeah,
show
it's good
me.
food art. Food art.
Yeah, let me look it up. I'll show it on stream again. I'm pretty sure I've shown it before. Let me look it up. Is it on my DeviantArt or something? I'll be honest, I have a DeviantArt just because like it's sort of nice to have like a gallery as sort of like a history of like what the hell I've done over like the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's like if I want to look at my terrible work, I just go back ages ago and look at, oh man, I was so bad back then. But in a healthy way, because that it means that like I've gotten so much better, and that is a good thing for me. I have no problem with that at all.
And you recognize what is acceptable quality for you has also improved.
Yes, very much so. Oh my god, my old stuff was so bad.
Everybody's old stuff was bad.
That's
That's what's so nice about it.
2-3 weeks ago, like me and like we we did like a weekly catch up with all the concept artists in the studio, and we all hung out and showed off our worst work from like ages ago. It was super fun,
Nice.
just seeing everybody's work when they were terrible. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I brought it up on stream. Let me see how long the delay is.
Yes.
It's probably like a little
Oh,
bit.
there it is.
Yeah.
It glistens. It shines.
It's a
That's-
hagao.
Argyle.
I want to
And
poke
Very
it
tasty.
with a
yes,
chopstick.
and then a
I missed
bolo
some.
bao. This was like this was one of the earlier ones I did. It's not so good. The texture work is sort of like bad.
Would you like a fun fact about pineapple buns, Jamie?
Tell me about pineapple buns.
They're not pineapple flavored. They just have the texture of the pineapple bumps.
They just look like
That's-
pineapple-ish.
Yeah, they look a little bit like pineapple.
Excellent.
Look at that.
I'll be honest,
Oh,
people eat pineapple buns in the most like degenerate possible way, and they just like stuff it full of like literally just like wad of butter, and it's like God, I don't think I could deal with that.
No,
That's
I
too
I can't
much.
deal with that. I just
I
like
could.
eating it like I can just eat it like straight up like that, because the flavor on top.
Yeah,
just
it already
keeps
tastes really good. I don't understand why people stick like entire goddamn like thing in like thing of butter, and it's just like absolutely unnecessary.
And you can get pineapple buns with like a char siu filling as well, like barbecue pork.
You
filling.
can like you just like why literally a stick of butter? This is some like degenerate American shit. Like
right. Well, a Canadian, but still, sticks of
Well,
butter make everything
both
taste better.
both of y'all,
Mm.
but also I think you should blame the French first for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I miss those cups. They're such cute little cups.
Oh yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I miss those cups so much. Maybe I should like just buy. I am sure I could buy them online and just use them and like make my own lemon tea. Honestly.
You could probably buy like a porcelain version.
Oh, you know what? That is
Ooh, that's a
actually a
good
good
idea.
idea. Yeah,
Mm,
and do my own lemon tea. That'd be great.
yeah.
I'm so. My mom gave me like a really like just like actual fancy tea to bring to like the UK because she was like, I don't trust British tea. Here is like because wait, did I tell you my mom teaches tea?
She teaches tea.
Peaches
Yeah, I'll
tea.
tell you
Oh
more
my
about
gosh,
that. Like
yes.
she just has a stash of like super expensive tea. Anyway, it's 9:30. I think we should wrap up the stream. We can chat a bit more afterwards, but for the stream, let's wrap up for now.
Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
Aw,
Thank you
he's-
to the two
he's-
people who are watching. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. You guys want to do like a final introduction before we shut off the stream?
Yeah, of course. Jamie, would you like to go first this time?
Totally. I am Jamie Eastfeld. I am a web developer and I do a lot of other creative stuff on the side. I make comics. I work on Narrative Declaration at twitch.tv/Narrative Declaration, doing a lot of the behind the scenes art coordination stuff. And this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. So
Yeah. And I'm Sophie Elliott. I'm a freelance illustrator. I have done work for Jamie in the past, hence why we know each other. And I am currently working on some children's books, some art here and there, and currently some poster design. So if you want to hit me up for a commission, just find me at my socials at Elliott Illu at Twitter or on my website as well. Yep, looking forward to hearing from you.
Yep, and as y'all should be aware since you're on my channel, I'm Ryu. I do art, I draw Warhammer, I'm a professional concept artist. Thanks for being here and watching us. Hope you all had a great time and hope you have a great day or night wherever you are. I think that was good enough and I think we can sign off now. See you guys. Thanks for being
Hey.
here.
Alright, bye bye, guys.
Bye.